Welcome, Member Forge. If you're available for a mic check, will you please unmute?
This is a mic check.
Your audio is good. And can we do a video check as well, please?
Okay. There you go.
And I see you.
Okay, great. I just text Taryn saying that I couldn't unmute, but you unmuted me.
No, you're good to go.
Okay.
Be aware you are backlit by the window. If you wanted to close the shades a little bit more, I think that would improve your visual, but it's good enough as is.
Okay, I'll close it. Thank you for letting me know that.
Sure.
Thank you. And I ask Investigator Tippins to come up and do a safety announcement and introduce another investigator before we get started with the official meeting.
Good morning, Dr. Felsfeld, board members, executive officer Tez. I'd like to introduce our investigator. This is Jerry Furman. Mr. Furman comes to us from the Roseville Department and the California Department of Public Health. He worked in emergency preparedness. Welcome, Jerry, to the board. Thank you. This morning for our debrief. In the event that disturbance in the audience, Investigator Furman and I will address all disturbances. The board will temporarily halt. In the event that the disturbance escalates, the board president will take a recess and we will further address any disturbance. In the event of an shooter situation, we ask that all audience members immediately drop to the floor where you are, and board members, if opportunity, you will evacuate or egress through this door over here, which will take you access on the side of the building where you'll congregate, wait for us to come get you. If there are questions, good morning and have a wonderful
Thank
board
you,
meeting.
Tippins. DCA, are we ready to go? Recording?
This is the moderator. We are recording and ready with WebEx.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this Dental Board of California meeting. I am Dr. Alan Felsenfeld and serve as the president of the board. Today is Thursday, August 15, 2024. This board meeting is being held via teleconference with a in-person location available for board public member participation. For all those who wish to participate online, please log on to the WebEx website provided on the posted agenda for this. Instructions to connect to the meeting are provided on the agenda. The preferred audio connection is via telephone, not the microphone and speakers on your computer. The phone number and access code will be provided as part of your connection to the meeting. During each call for comment, board members and speakers will ensure that all comments that can be accommodated are heard before proceeding with the agenda. This is an official business meeting of the Dental Board of California. The board welcomes public comments on any item on the agenda, and it is the board's intent to ask public comments from prior to the board taking action on any agenda item. The DCA moderator will explain the process for providing public comment shortly. For individuals participating in WebEx, when called upon, the moderator will give individual permission to unmute themselves, and they will be having 2 minutes to make comment. The moderator will audibly announce 30 seconds remain to conclude the public comment. After the 2 minutes have lapsed, the individual will be placed back on mute. One public comment per agenda item is allowed per attendee. Depending on the number of people who would like to testify on a particular agenda item, a total statement may be imposed. We ask all speakers to please stay on topic and repeat testimony already provided. If you agree with testimony already provided, please just state your name and that you are in support of any comments previously provided. I would now like to ask the DCA moderator to please explain how public comments will be taken during this meeting.
When public comment is called for, we ask everyone on WebEx to raise their hand by tapping the hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users will need to dial *3. And for our mobile device users, you'll need to hit the ellipses button, the dot, 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 if you don't immediately see your hand button. You have 3 different pages to cycle through, and only one of them has that hand. Mr. President?
Thank you. I would like to call the meeting to order and ask the board secretary to call the roll.
Dr. Ladine, Board Secretary. I will now call the roll. Chan?
Chan, aye.
Chan, I. Chang?
Aye.
Chang, I. David? Rosenfeld?
Elfenfeld,
Rosenfeld, present. Forge?
Forge, present.
Forge, present. Ladine, present. Mackenzie?
Here.
Mackenzie, present. Medina?
Here.
Medina, present. Molina?
Not here.
Molina, present. Olage? Olage, present. Pacheco?
Present.
Pacheco, present. Thakur?
We're present.
Thakur, present. You?
You present.
You present. Quorum, Mr. President.
thank you. I'm sorry. Ms. Welch.
Mr. Forge, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we need you to confirm whether there are any individuals 18 years of age or older present in the room with you from the,
No one's present with
Location.
me in the room.
can you repeat that?
No one's present with me in the room.
Okay, thank you for that. I also want to ask you that if you have any problem with connectivity with your camera, you need to appear on camera through the meeting. If you have any connectivity problems, please let us know. We'll need to make a statement about it. It's fine, but you explain that you're having some technical issues.
I will.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Welch. Before we open public comment, item number 2, public comment on items not on the agenda. Before we open public comment on matters not on the agenda, I would like to remind individuals making these comments to not discuss complaints, pending licensure applications, or pending disciplinary action may later come before the board for a decision. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications as they could provide information to the board members that is outside of the board in violation of the Administrative Procedure Act. Such discussions create a conflict and lead to a board decision challenged in Superior Court. Accordingly, if an individual makes comments on a pending disciplinary matter, the individual will be interrupted. The board can, of course, receive comments regarding the board's policies in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific case circumstances where the decision is still pending. In addition, public comments should address the board as a whole and not individual members. Please be aware that a public comment during this agenda item should provide information to the board members, but it is not a discussion between the board members and the public. The only action the board members can take right now is to listen to comments and decide whether they want a future agenda item on this topic. Though this may seem at times like the board members are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensure that the rules of the Open Meeting Act are followed to avoid compromising speaker's goals or the board's mission. In the interest of time, as we've done in the past, we would ask the public comments not repeat statements already made by a prior commenter. If you are in support of a statement made by a prior individual and your comments have already been made, please just state your name, association, and your support for the previous comment. Legislative hearings regularly use this practice as it is a good way to ensure that we can hear from everyone today. Are there any in-person public comments at this time? Seeing none. Are there public comments from individuals that are participating via WebEx? Will the DCA moderator please facilitate the lines for public comment?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. As a reminder, people will be given 2 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. Our first request comes from Ana Maria Quintina. Hold on just a moment. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone. Welcome, Anna. Anna, are you with us? All right. We're going to put some instructions on screen now. Hold on just a moment. Hopefully, we can help you sort out your audio problems.
Great.
Is this Anna?
Yes, but I can't seem to get in here with you.
I don't know what in here with me means, but your audio is coming in loud and clear.
Oh, can you hear
Would
me?
you? Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Go
great.
ahead. Go ahead. Make your comment, please.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Ana Maria Quintana. I'm councilwoman for the city of Bell. I've come before you at the last board meeting. I simply just wanted to chime in and basically talk a little bit about the rules of the commission. I came in at the last board meeting to talk about the foreign dental school program. Our group who have been working towards bringing discussion on the validity and the reasons why this program was eliminated and talk about the success came before you. And we were under the impression that this topic was going to come up for discussion. When we opened up the agenda, we realized that it wasn't, and to our disappointment, so I reached out to some of the board members, actually one specifically, and was told that I was not allowed to communicate with them. So the reason why I'm reaching out is because I want us to really give thought as to what our roles are as public servants. I'm an elected official who has been tasked with the duty of advocating for the community, for the needs of my community, which is what I've been doing by taking on this task because this program has served our needs. And then secondly, by reaching out to you all because you are the policymakers on this board. So I was surprised to be told that you were not permitted to speak to folks. So I just simply want to remind you what the roles are, what our role are as commissioners, as folks who have been entrusted to look out for the profession. Similarly, we as council members
30 seconds.
have been instructed to be careful with the message, but at a very minimum, I do think we have an obligation to be as fully informed as possible and be involved with stakeholders so that when decisions come before you, you're better informed. So I encourage you to take on that role for the betterment of the profession.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from HFL. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. Hello, go ahead, please.
Can I be heard?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, board members. This is Francisco Leal again. I'm here to speak on behalf of La Salle in Moldova. It was my intention to be here in person to participate in a discussion regarding the possibility that this board would consider recommending approval of these schools while they go through the quota accreditation process as a pilot program, an issue that Dr. Molina specifically requested be placed on this agenda. I also was disappointed to learn that Dr. Felsenfeld refused, citing that the board does not have the authority to consider this issue. This is truly astonishing. It was back in 2019 that this board voted to terminate the program. Now, mind you, back then, some of you were not even on the board. And those of you who were, I believe, in good faith voted, but did so relying on misinformation. That is the time frame for quota accreditation, which we can now all agree is not 2 to 4 years, but actually 10 to 12 years or more. During this time, schools cannot admit students. Other members who were not part of the decision naturally have questions. We try to reach out to you to explain the facts so you can personally hear our message. And it is disturbing that you are prohibited or at least discouraged from meeting with us defined as stakeholders, on the basis that there may be a conflict of interest where no such conflicts clearly exists. On the conflict issue, I just want to also point out that it is also disturbing that your attorney admonishes Dr. Molina to guard her words that she may have a conflict of interest due to the fact that her daughter graduated from Moldova. Again, there is no legal basis for that.
30 seconds.
Throughout this process, now over 4 years, we have attempted in good faith to communicate with your staff, requesting a thorough assessment of the value of this program and addressing access to care dental issues. Over 800 dentists have graduated from these schools. Many, including Dr. Larin's children, are practicing in underserved communities. Frankly, your staff has not been helpful, but now we can't even have a discussion with board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Howard Kim. Hold on just a moment. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hello, I'm Dr. Howard Kim. I'm one of the regional dental directors from Via Care Community Health Center, which is a federally qualified health center in Southern California. I'm speaking in support of having this topic of a possible reinstatement of the Dental Board of California's ability to approve foreign dental schools as an agenda item for the future or next dental board meeting of California, as this is a step in the right direction towards finding solutions in the shortage of dentists in rural and low-income and minority communities. It's well known that California has a shortage of healthcare professionals that includes dentists, and the lack of healthcare providers has a more significant negative impact on rural and low-income and minority communities. It's been difficult to attract and retain dentists, even in the East LA area where I practice. And so I can only imagine how difficult it can be to hire and retain dentists in more rural areas of California. And so having a pipeline of dentists from more foreign dental schools will be very helpful in hiring culturally competent dentists that can communicate better with our patients and serve our patients better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from JCS. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Jessica Shoemaker. I was one of the speakers at the last meeting of the dental board, and I am chiming into this meeting in a limited role, which surprises me because, I thought after the last board meeting when Dr. Molina made several requests and was told that the agenda item regarding foreign dental schools would need to be agendized later for discussion, to not find it on this agenda. We are finally seeing that the dental board has looked into the CODA International Dental Program issue and may be starting to realize that the timeline that has been stated since the effective elimination of the program in 2019 was incorrect. The documents given to the legislature from the dental board has been incorrect. The information given to you as members of the dental board has been incorrect. And so I was looking forward to the opportunity for an agenda item to actually address the misinformation that the board has been given, so that there could possibly be a way to agree on how to move forward. I have yet to see this board address the maldistribution of dentists,
30 seconds.
address how you are going to replace the dentists that these programs graduated into California, and also address what the actual CODA process is and how California may help in fixing some of the issues to make CODA efficient and a viable solution as an accrediting agency for these schools. So
Time.
I hope to see it on the next board meeting agenda.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Molab Al-Samari. Hold on just a moment. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone. Molab, are you with us? All right, we're going to put instructions on the screen to see if we can help you out with your audio issues. Hold on just a second, please. All right, I've got instructions on the screen now for you. We're going to give you a few seconds, and then, if necessary, we'll take another speaker and see if we can come back to you. All right, next we're going to hear from Dr. Tom Tutu, or Dr. Tom Tu. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. Your time will not be displayed. I'll say it for you. Dr. Tom Tu, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Perfect. My name is Dr. Tom Tu. I'm also one of the regional directors of Via Care Health Center in Los Angeles.
All right, we cannot hear him very well. If he could get to his microphone, please.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, thank you.
My name is Dr. Tom Tu. I am one of the regional directors for Via Care Health Center in Los Angeles. And I just wanted to come on also to support the previous comments. Having a guaranteed pipeline for culturally competent and willing dentists to serve our low-income patients is important to the community I serve. It would address the pain points that I face as the dental director at my health center. At the very least, I would implore the board to add it to the next agenda item for the next meeting so that we can have an open discussion on it. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from, we're going to try to get Molab Al-Samari back on the line. Hold on just a second. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone. All right. Molab, we see that you've unmuted. And you also have a mobile device connected, it looks like. Hold on just a second. We're going to send the mobile device a request. All right. We're going to hear from Juanita Chavez. Hold on just a moment, Juanita. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone. All right, Juanita, we're going to send you another request to unmute your microphone. Juanita, are you with us? Juanita, I see that you're unmuted and I heard a pop from your microphone. All right. Bear with us just a moment, folks. Let's circle back to Molab for the moment.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Oh, finally. Okay. Good morning, board members. My name is Dr. Al-Samarai. I have the pleasure of serving as a dental director at Ultimate Health Services for the last 40 years. Ultimate is one of the largest FQHCs in California, providing critical care to over 500,000 patients for more than 50 cities in LA and Orange counties, including oral and dental health. I'm here today to request and to include the foreign dental schools in the agenda items to discuss for the next board meeting. I bring this to hearing firsthand knowledge of the exceptional qualities of education provided by the foreign dental school that have been accredited by the Dental Board of California, especially the Universidad de La Salle Bajío in Mexico, where I'm proud a graduate from there. At Altamed, we have the privilege of hiring highly skilled graduates from these international programs who have consistently demonstrated their excellence as a practitioners within the organization. Many of these professionals have advanced into leadership and senior leadership roles, where they contribute not only to the delivery of high quality care to our patient, but also the strategic planning and the quality management for the underpinning of our mission. Their contribution have been significantly enhanced by the quality and accessibility of dental service, not only at Altamed, but across the board for healthcare landscape in the United States. And personally, as a graduate from La Salle, I'm honored to be recognized among the ADA's top 10
30
dentists
seconds.
and also alternate delegates for the House of Delegates. And also I served as a subject matter expert in law and ethics board, Dental Board of California. Together with my colleagues, I believe we are actively driving positive change and delivering tangible results with the communities we serve, regardless of the practice setting in which we operate. This is why I'm here today to seek your support at the state's commitment to continue the conversation about these foreign trained dentists. And thank you for your
Time.
considerations.
I'm
Thank
going to
you.
stop for a second, DCA moderator. Heard a number of individuals asking the board to bring back to board agenda a conversation on foreign dental schools. At the beginning of our lecture, beginning of our talk today, told that if you agree with that, just say agree as opposed to giving a big diatribe as to why you think it's important. We understand that. We've heard the last meeting. I will allow one more speaker on this topic, and then we have to move on to something other than our foreign dental schools on a future agenda. Do we have a speaker, moderator?
This is the moderator. We're going to try and circle back to Juanita Chavez.
Sure.
Juanita, I see that your microphone is unmuted. Are you available? I have instructions on the screen for you, but we have not heard from you yet. All right, Juanita, I see that you muted. I'm sending you another request to unmute. All right, Juanita, I see that you're unmuted. Are you available? We're going to give you a few more seconds, and then I'm going to ask that you email the board. All right, Juanita, I'm very sorry. We'll try and help you work out your technical problems. In the meantime, I'm going to mute your microphone, and we're going to move on.
DCA moderator, do we have any other people who would like to speak to us on WebEx topic other than the foreign dental schools?
There are no other requests for public comment at this moment.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on then. Thank you. Which will be a discussion and possible action on the May 15th, 2024 board meeting minutes. We want to, I think Ms. would like to, Taran, I'm sorry, Mr. to make a comment about that. Go ahead.
On page 13 of the meeting materials, or page 8 of the meeting minutes, on the very first paragraph says Dr. Antonio Arredondo. Instead of spelling his name as Arrendando, to spell it as Arredondo.
We had some misspellings and technical technical problems, just nothing substantive is saying. And
Yes, just that one section.
so we're then going to look at the minutes of the meeting as revised for the technical errors that are in there. Is there any board discussion about the minutes of the? Seeing none, is there anyone who would like to make a motion to accept the minutes? You, Dr. Yule moves it and Dr. Pacheco seconds it, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
You and Pacheco. Is there any further board discussion on the meeting minutes? Are there any in-person public comments on the meeting minutes? Are there any public comments from individuals participating via WebEx? The DCA moderator, please facilitate the line for public comment.
We are open for public comment via WebEx on the meeting minutes and the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request via WebEx, would you like to continue with the motion?
We will, thank you. Board Secretary, please call the roll and votes for this agenda item.
Dr. Letting, Board Secretary, I will now call the roll. Chan?
Chan, aye.
Chan, I.
Chang, aye.
Chang, I. David?
David abstain.
David abstain.
Felsenfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I.
George, aye.
George, I. Ladine, I. McKenzie?
Mackenzie, yes.
McKenzie, I. Medina?
Aye.
Medina, I. Molina?
Molina.
Molina, I. Olage?
Olagi, aye.
Olage, Pacheco?
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I.
Takur, aye.
Takur, I. You?
Aye.
You, I. Motion passes.
Thank you. Move on to agenda item number 4, the board president report. I'm happy to report that over the last few months since the last meeting, I have 3 different things that I can report very briefly. We did go to the board leadership meeting in June. Dr. Montez and I at the Dental Hygiene Board meeting in July. And just very recently, I had a telephone meeting with our new dental director in the state, Dr. Shakopee Pendakur, who was a colleague friend of mine for many years and is now going to be our dental director. And we're looking forward to that. And I offered the board ability to cooperate with any, she has any questions for it. She will get back to what she needs to. And that concludes my report. Is there any board member discussion? Seeing none, this is informational to vote on it. Are there any in-person public comments? Seeing none, are there any public comments from individuals participating via WebEx? The DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public comment.
We are open for public comment on agenda item 4. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. And as a reminder to our mobile device users, if you're having trouble finding that hand button, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... and cycle through 3 different pages in order to find that hand. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
I do, thank you. We're now on to item 5, report on the Department of Consumer Affairs activities, which may include updates on the department's administrative services, human resources, enforcement, information technology, communications, and outreach as legislative, regulatory, and policy matters. I see that Ms. Melissa Gear is back again, and welcome and good morning, Ms. Gear, to do your report.
I would. Hello and good morning, President Dr. Felsenfeld, Vice President Pacheco, Executive Officer Montez, and members of the board. I'm Melissa Gear, Deputy Director, Board and Bureau Relations, and I appreciate the opportunity to share the Department of Consumer Affairs update this morning. First, I will begin with an update on Budget Letter 2020 regarding vacancy saving position elimination. Department of Finance, or DOF, issued Budget Letter 2420 implementing the governor's proposal to reduce the workforce by 10,000 positions and $1.5 billion. DCA's budget office is working closely with each board and bureau to identify appropriate reductions while maintaining the mandate of consumer protection. The final budget reduction plan will need to be approved by the Department of Finance, agency, and ultimately the Department of Finance. The budget reduction will be starting in 24-25 and ongoing, while the position elimination will be effective starting 25-26 and ongoing. The reductions will impact DCA boards and bureaus. DCA will share further information and guidance from the Department of Finance becomes available. Next is the governor's appointments update. Deputy Appointments Secretary Mary Valdez Singh was appointed Deputy Commissioner of Legislation at the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. She worked closely with the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, DCA boards and bureaus on board advisory committee appointments. Her last with the appointments unit was July 5th. Going forward, Deputy Appointment Secretary Curtis Lang will oversee Healing Arts Boards, and Assistant Deputy Appointment Secretary Aubrey Anthony will oversee the non-healing arts boards. Boards should continue working with Bureau Relations on their appointment needs. We wish Mary well in her new role and look forward to working with Curtis and Aubrey. I'd also like to remind you of the updated workplace violence prevention policy and new training requirement. SB 553 is a new law that became effective in January. SB 553 amended the California Labor Code to require California employers to develop and implement a workplace violence prevention plan and train employees by July 1st, 2024. As a result of this new law, DCA updated its current work violence prevention policy to include all requirements of SB 553. DCA also developed an annual workplace violence prevention training that is located on DCA's Learning Management System, or LMS. Training is mandatory for all DCA employees, including board members. This new training must be completed by August 30th, 2024. If you have any questions or need assistance accessing LMS, contact Board and Bureau Relations. And as a side note, I know many of you probably have taken or required at some point this training with your California employer. And if you have, you may have received a certificate saying you have done so. Unfortunately, this time we are not going to be able to accept that certificate because training is DCA specific as specific to your current employer. So just wanted to let you know, I know people were probably thinking, hey, I've done it and can get it to you. Unfortunately not. So you will need to take the DCA specific training. Next, I'd also like to remind you about board member orientation training, or BMONT. Board members must complete board member orientation training, also known as BMONT, within 1 year appointment or reappointment. October 22nd, 2024, BMONT will be offered virtually. This will be the last training of the year. Members can register for this training with LMS. Next is an update on the licensing resources webinar for military service members and their families. On July 31st, DCA participated in a virtual military licensing webinar hosted by Navy Region Southwest. The webinar showcased DCA military licensing resources to active military, veterans, and military spouses throughout California and Navy bases. DCA's Deputy Director of Communications provided an overview of licensing resources, and DCA's Deputy Director of Information Services provided a demonstration of the Federal Professional License Portability and State Registration online. DCA received positive feedback and looks forward to continuing its partnerships with the military community. I also will provide you with a DEI update. DCA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, or DEI, Steering Committee met on July 26, 2024. The meeting included discussion on DEI training, development, workforce development survey from a DEI perspective, expanding language access, and DEI activities for inclusion in the DCA annual report. This is the second year DEI committee is memorializing the department's DEI activities and a report, which is provided to the administration and the legislature. This year's report will include DCA specific updates on training, outreach, language access, and tools and resources created for staff. And it will also highlight board and bureau accomplishments. I'm to share a few examples of DEI-related activities completed by the boards. To further expand public input access, the Acupuncture Board released its strategic planning survey in 4 languages: English, Spanish, Chinese, and Korean. 75% of the surveys were completed in a language other than English. The California State Ethics Commission extended an existing agreement and executed 2 new agreements with tribal nations to regulate combat sports on tribal land and ensure participation safety. The Medical Board of California administers the Mexico Pilot Program, which allows up to 30 physicians licensed in Mexico who specialize in family practice, internal medicine, pediatrics, and obstetrics and gynecology to practice in California to 3 years. In 2023, 9 additional physicians were licensed under the Mexico Pilot Program, reaching the physician threshold. Contractor State License Board translated 10 examinations commonly taken by candidates into Spanish, including the law business examination that is required of all applicants. For all of the grade examinations and languages, accommodations are made for applicants to be joined by an approved translator during the examination. The annual report will be available early next year and will be shared with your executive officer. Next DEI committee meeting is on October 25th. If you have ideas you'd like the committee to consider, please share them with your executive officer. In addition, I want to share a phishing alert. A reminder, boards are urged to continue to be vigilant and cautious of potential phishing attempts and deceptive emails and calls to trick individuals into revealing sensitive information or installing malicious software. If you suspect any phishing attempt or encounter a suspicious email, please report it immediately to your executive officer or DA's Office of Information Security. This will help us take swift action to protect everyone. And last, as I close, again, thank you for the opportunity to join you today. I'm happy to answer any questions from the board. And if further information or assistance is needed with any of these items shared today, please don't hesitate to reach out to BBR.
Thank you, Ms. Geer. We appreciate that. This is an informational report. No action that is necessary. However, I will entertain board comments or questions if there are any. I see, go ahead.
I'm just encouraging staff to push back with the Department of Finance on the position.
Turn your mic on, I think, Mr. David. I don't think it's quite on. Right there.
Oh,
Not quite all right, sir.
first timer.
First, you're okay.
Yeah, I know.
You're allowed 1.
Okay. No, I would just encourage staff to push on the Department of Finance drill-related position cuts, mainly because this is a special funded agency. Dental professionals are paying fees in order for us to provide them a service. If positions cut, those service levels are going to go down, and there will be no impact on the general fund if those positions are cut because it's special funded. So in any, you might lose the conversation, but I think it's worth bringing up and just letting everybody know that there's a potential for service levels to be diminished.
Thank you, Mr. David. Any other board comment? Dr. Lorin?
For being here. I'm curious to find out if you know how the approval process works for the pilot program, medical doctor pilot program. How do you know who to accept, or what is the process for accepting who you select to be on the pilot program? Do you know that?
I do not know that information specifically.
Dr. Montez?
I believe we will have someone ever so briefly on that later. And I have some information to add on that as well as we get to our legislative update. The medical board, though, would be the one that's doing the program.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other board member comments or questions on Ms. Geer's report?
To have a comment about or a question. It might be addressed.
Is your microphone on, Dr. Malia? Okay, go ahead.
We're talking about physicians. Are we also talk about the dental part? Because I know that the physician part going ahead, but not the dental.
We will address that on our legislative item.
Great, thank you.
Any other board comment? Seeing, is there any public comment from the in-person commenters? Will the public comments from DCA moderator, would you please facilitate public comments for those participating via WebEx?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a second now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request via WebEx, do you wish to continue?
We do. Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Gear. We appreciate your report. Agenda item number 6 is a discussion and possible action on the Board, Council, and Committee Member Administrative Policy Procedure Manual. We're going to ask Dr. Montez to explain what this is all about, and we'll take it from there.
Good morning, Tracy Montez, Executive Officer of the Dental Board. So again, back in February of this year, if you recall, we did approve the Board, Council, and Committee Member Administrative Policy and Procedure Manual. It had been updated, and we through that had a conversation, and again did approve that. However, since February, as we have been reviewing our Sunset Bill and having conversations on possible language amendments, we realized that we did find that the requirement of having a legislative committee involved in those discussions was a bit challenging, access and various things. And we internally, Dr. Felsfeld and I, in conversation with Board Counsel, decided that it would be in the best interest of the board to have those conversations by the executive committee. So in this case, it would be Joanne Pacheco, Ms. Pacheco, and Dr. Felsfeld and I. And then what that does is it allows the board to continue moving forward in between board members with regard to legislation, because that is something that moves quickly and we don't always have opportunity to table things for a meeting. And so we do it, again, keeping in mind protections, what's reasonable, knowing our board, and then as things become finalized, we bring those to the attention of the board as needed. And so if you look on, we include the entire manual procedure here, but if you look on page 16, 82 of the meeting materials, you'll see under legislation, we have an amendment that we'd like to make. And so I'm asking the board to discuss, consider this, and approve the amendment so that it will be clarified moving forward. Any questions?
Dr. Chan,
I'll move it.
we have a motion, and can the motion that you're going to make, sir?
We're going to include the amendment to the Board, Council, and Committee Member Administrative Policy and Procedure Manual to include amended on page 16, that manual, Chapter 5.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. Loggy. David, you want to make a comment? Board comment?
Just, I support this as long as it's an exception, not the standard. I do think the board should be involved in discussing legislation whenever possible.
It is.
Very good.
This is with urgency. Any other comment from the board? All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Now that that's, all right, we're there. How about in-house people who would like comments on this motion? Seeing none, is there anybody who would like to make a comment on this motion from the WebEx provider? PCA moderator, please, go ahead.
My apologies. We are open for public comment via WebEx on agenda item 6 and the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. Our first comment comes from HFL. Hold on just a moment. We're sending you a request to unmute your microphone.
Am I muted?
You're good to go.
Thank you, sir. I do have a comment, members. It relates to page 16, and I want some clarification from either your executive director or from legal counsel. That particular board policy appears to state that all communications go through the president. And I just want to clarify what that means with regard to whether someone like myself can reach out to a board member and have a conversation about issues that I care about. Or is it that I have to go through the president, or he has to go, or the member has to go through the president? I think it should be clarified because we try to reach out to other board members and I think they were discouraged from meeting with us.
Thank you for your comment. Next, we're going to be hearing from.
No, excuse me, there's no answer?
Oh.
Public comments don't necessarily require a board answer. It's just to give us information. You've given us some information, sir, and we've heard that.
Okay, I have another comment.
Well, hang on one moment, though.
Refer to page 16, communications with other organizations, individuals. This is the guidance given to board members. And I do want to clarify that this board administrative policy and procedure manual is something that is modeled after policy manuals with other department DCA boards and bureaus. We are regulatory boards and we function differently than other public entities. So we do have guidance that is given specifically to our board members to ensure that their roles are defined and that we follow appropriate protocols. So I did want to put that out before this question. And again, we don't necessarily address public comments, but given that it was right below the amendment, I felt it appropriate to point that out. Thank you.
I have a comment on page 21. Hello?
This is the moderator. Hold on just a moment, please.
It is simply one comment per agenda item per person. So I think you made a comment, sir.
I would disagree with you, Dr. Felsenfeld.
You still have a minute and 14, though.
Okay.
Finish up.
Thank you. Am I being heard?
Go
You're
ahead.
being heard.
Thank
You're
you.
heard. Go ahead.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Felsenfeld. At page 21, you recite the conflict of interest code based on the government code. This mostly goes to your general counsel. I read it thoroughly, and there have been some insinuations that maybe us reaching out to board members on our issue is or maybe a conflict of interest. Is there any way that we can get some clarification so that we do not venture into an area or have members venture into an area where they may be essentially violating this rule? Can someone help me with that, or is it going to be also just a comment?
All right, sir, thank you. You still have 40 seconds if you'd like to say something else.
No, thank you so much for your
All right,
information.
thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from JCS. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, I just wanted to follow up. Thank you for the clarification as to regulatory agency versus maybe a general government body. But I would like clarification or a comment to find out. I understand that meeting with members, I wouldn't be expecting them to be speaking on behalf of the board. And generally, that is what these policies are. And they don't prohibit individual members from meeting with stakeholders as an individual member. So why do they have to go through Dr. Felsenfeld to speak to a member or a stakeholder as an individual board member, with the understanding they're not speaking on behalf of the board in general? And it may not even be discussing a regulatory matter with them. And so I was just wondering if at some point somebody can email, or even, I understand that they may not want to respond now, but can I get an email, or should I send an email requesting clarification on
30 seconds.
why an individual board member cannot speak to stakeholders as an individual board member, because obviously an individual board member cannot make decisions on behalf of the board, and I would expect the board president to be the one who speaks on behalf of the board. Obviously, if the rest of the board agrees on the message. So, thanks.
Your time is up, ma'am. Sending an email with your question would be an excellent thing to do. You're allowed to do that, and we will look at.
And with that, we are finished with public comment via WebEx.
Okay, in that case, we are ready to take a vote. Board Secretary, would you call the roll and record the votes for this agenda item, which is the changes in our policy manual book.
The motion, Secretary Ladine, the motion is to adopt Vice Board, Council, and Committee Member Administrative Policy and Procedure Manual with the amendment on Attachment 1. Chan,
Chan,
I, Chang,
Chang, I.
David,
David, I.
David, I, Felsenfeld,
Felsenfeld, aye.
Forge,
Aye.
Forge, Dean, I, McKenzie,
McKenzie, yes.
McKenzie, I, Medina,
Medina, I.
Medina, I, Molina,
Molina, no.
Molina, no, Olage,
Olagi, I.
Olage, I, Checo, I. Checo, I,
Thakur, aye.
Thakur, I, you,
Aye.
I, motion passes.
We're now going to move on to agenda 7A, the 2024 legislative calendar. Ms. Montez.
Good morning again. Tracy Montez, Executive Officer. On page 91 of the meeting materials, we have the tentative legislative calendar. It's information only. I think it's important here to point out is September 30th is the last day for the governor to sign or veto bills passed by the legislature. So this is, I should say passed before September. So that is coming up very soon. We do have our sunset bill of interest. And this is informational only. If there are no questions, I'm happy to go to B. You have to do yes. Thank you.
Is there board comment on 7A? Seeing none, is there any in-person comment on 7A? Seeing none, public comments from individuals participating in WebEx. DCA moderator, please facilitate lines for public comment on 7A.
We are open for public comment on 7A. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
We will, thank you. Agenda item 7B, an update regarding the board's 2024 review oversight hearing. Dr. Montez again.
Tracy Montez, Executive Officer. We have been through the past few meetings discussing our board's sunset review oversight hearing. It began back in April. As I shared earlier this morning, the bill was ended on June 24th, again on July 2nd. It has also recently amended after the date of this publication. I heard that we do have a final bill and it should be posted soon if it's not already. We have continued to answer questions from Senate Business and Professions, and I'm very pleased with interactions that we've had with them as well as the Assembly counterpart, and then of course our stakeholders. We navigate this bill. It's a very large bill. It contains many legislative proposals that the board and board staff have been working on for the past 2 years, which is different than traditional sunset bills. We had an opportunity to make a lot of changes and we took that opportunity. And the point with our discussion today is obviously we're not going to try and make significant amendments to bill. It's for the most part done. There's one small little tiny opportunity as it goes to the floor because it'll have to get approved by both the Senate and the Assembly, the full Assembly and Senate. But for the most part, we should be finished with amendments. We have had a couple of letters in, and so I wanted the board to have an opportunity to address those conversations. Or not it impacts the bill as it's published, I can't say for sure. But again, it's been very exciting with the changes, the clarifications, the new pathways, adding an RDA member, a lot of significant changes. One of the changes that we are looking at amendment in the bill that I will share with you is that in collaboration with the Department of Consumer Affairs, IT, we are looking at having the pathway portion go into effect in July of 2025. That gives everybody extra time, whereas the other pieces of our sunset bill would be of January 1st, 2025. So that is a significant change from our discussions earlier. Other than that, there's some minor changes. I'm going to open it up to the board for discussions and comment, and our council would like to say something, and then some other pieces that we will talk about.
Ms. Wells, go ahead.
I wanted to note that agenda item 7B is informational only, and if wanted to actually discuss the text of the sunset bill itself, which is SB 1453, that is agendized, and 7D is in dog, which is coming up in two agenda items. So perhaps specific discussion of the text of the bill itself could be held over until that agenda item.
Yes, thank you for reminding me that. That's why I need Mr. Bruggeman here. Doing this, but again, it's gone on to great success. So anyway, thank you for clarifying that. So that is again the update.
There's no action necessary. The board member comment on this, and Ms. Welch is correct. We are going to discuss it more in another section here. But is there any board member comment on B? Seeing none, are there any in-person public comment on 7B? Is okay? Good morning.
I'll try to be quick. Hello, Kai from the California Dental Association. I just applaud the board, and especially Dr. Montez on her comments at the hearing, and Dr. Ariane was also there, and just all of that has to this bill and the collaboration and is to make these equitable pathways. Understanding that there's the different time for the pathway programs to come 6 months after everything else. I don't know if you do want to talk a little more about that. I mean, it could come up later. No, okay. But it's a great bill, and thank you for your work as a board.
Thank you. No other public comments from those of you sitting here? Are there public comments from the individuals who are participating in WebEx? Will the DCA moderator please facilitate the lines for public comment?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment via WebEx, do you wish to continue?
I do, sir. Thank you. We're now up to item 7C, legislative proposal to amend section 1680 subdivision Z regarding death or hospitalization reports. Dr. Montez, please.
Tracy Montez, Executive Officer. This item is on page 98 of the board meeting materials. Specifically, Business and Profession Z was added and requires a licensee to report to the board citing any of the following: a death of a licensee's patient during the performance of any dental or dental hygiene procedure; B, the discovery of the death of a patient whose death is related to dental or dental hygiene procedure; performed by the licensee or except for a scheduled hospitalization removal, a hospital or emergency center for medical treatment of any patient to whom or conscious sedation, or general anesthesia was administered or any patient as a result of dental or dental hygiene treatment. So in response to some confusion over the conditions that actually require this reporting to the board, we have listened to our enforcement staff and we have with suggested amendments to really clarify the intent of BMP Code Section 680 subdivision Z1 for maintaining patient protections, yet really clarifying those conditions that require reporting. And have a the attached legislative proposal. This is our first one that is not in the sunset report that we'll be addressing next year. But again, this is something that I think again is a win situation where our investigators have said there's confusion. You know, our professionals are doing their best, they're reporting. There's certainly some confusion for that reporting, and it's actually been over reporting. And so in a way to be responsive to our license, but still maintain patient protection and the intent of this, we really want some opportunities to clarify this. So again, the language begins on page 100, and you'll see where there are strike through and additions, and we have some suggested motions. We would essentially like to move forward the California State Legislature to make these amendments in the future. And with that, open it to questions.
Before a motion, is there any further comment or question on the proposed changes in the legislation as down below? Dr. Chan.
For clarification, on item, let's see, on page 101, on items number 6 and 7, we have discourse or conversation with a different board. How does that work?
I would point out that this is actually existing law. We're not adding these provisions. They currently exist. It's on page 100, the strike through text. But effectively, if there's another licensed professional involved, a licensee of DHBC, dental hygiene, they have to submit a report to that board as well, so that that board can review the actions of the hygienist. The boards frequently communicate between themselves. You know, the dental will communicate with medical board, hygiene, to interact, especially when one board receives a complaint or a report such as this, and it's not within the jurisdiction of the board. It'll get transferred to the other board who likely has the jurisdiction. And that's just the licensing board's alternative. I mean, I'm starting to stretch out to limit this conversation, but complaints that have no bearing on licensure, the board would not send it to another board. The board likely would recommend to the complainant a different state agency where they would send that complaint. As far as these reports go, the two boards communicate internally to ensure that each board that has jurisdiction over the license is informed of the situation.
Are you okay with that, Dr. Chan? Okay. Are there any other board comments before we look for motion? Mr. David?
My question is this legislation to be proposed next session, or are we amending a bill, and have you found an author? And
It's a regulation, sir.
No.
Nope. Am I missing something?
Session.
It is next section then. All right.
what's
It's
the
next
answer?
session.
Next session. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Would anybody care to propose one of the three things that are, at least one of the two that are up in front of you. Dr.
I want to move to the submission to the California State Legislature, the legislative proposal to amend Business and Professions Code, Section 1680, Subdivision Z as amended.
Okay, is there a second?
You second. Oh,
Dr. Thakur? No? Was that you? Okay, Dr. Thakur. Okay, Dr. Seconds. Is there any further board discussion on the motion? At this point, is there any public comment in person? Seeing none. Are there public comments from individuals participating via WebEx? Will the DCA moderator please facilitate public?
We are open for public comment via WebEx on the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
We will. Thank you. Board Secretary, would you please roll and record the votes for this agenda item?
Secretary Larin, the motion to approve submission to the California State Legislature and the legislative proposal to amend Business and Professions Code, Section 1680, Subdivision Chan.
Chan, aye.
Cheng.
Cheng, aye.
Cheng, aye. David. David, aye. Felsenfeld.
Feld, yes.
Felsenfeld, aye. Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, aye. Larin, aye. Kenzie.
Kenzie, yes.
Kenzie, aye. Medina.
Medina, aye.
Medina, aye. Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, aye. Olage.
Olage.
Olage, aye. Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
So aye. Thakur.
Thakur, aye.
Thakur, you.
you aye.
Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to item 7D. Which I can't find here. Okay, hang on a second. But 7D is going to be current legislation. So, Montez, please.
Tracy Montez, Executive Officer. Okay, here we go. This is where we can now discuss our sunset bill. I'm not going to go through this entire agenda item, which is on page 103. Most of the information updates, a lot of it is, I shouldn't say a lot, but many of these bills have been updated because things have been changing so quick over the past month. I am going to highlight a few of these for you, and we'll have some discussions on them as well. So I do want to say that with regard to board membership qualifications, public affairs, that's AB 2269, was actually canceled. So this doesn't appear to be moving at this time. AB 2630, pupil health, health assessment is in its third reading, so it is moving as well. We're going to address AB 2860 shortly, so I'm going to come back to that. AB 2862, Department of Consumer Affairs, African American applicants, that hearing was canceled as well. AB 1067, Healing Arts, today I did licensure process medically under area or population is in its reading. It's moving forward, and the Department of Consumer Affairs has been actively working with the author to ensure that it's something that we as a regulatory department, including our board, work with and be effective in this. Again, I'm going to come back to SB 1453, Ashby Dentistry. That's our sunset bill. Let's see, the third day rule, SB 1468, order to consent, and SB 1520, professions. That's the Department of Business Professions and Economic Development. That's the department's bill. That is also on its third reading. So these were really the primary bills that we were focusing on. There are other bills on page 104 that have, they did not meet all of the legislative deadlines, so they may come depending upon the type of bill and so. But I again want to just commend the board on its positions that it took in the May board meeting. I had the opportunity. I'm going to go into specifics, but I just happened to see a legislator at a public event, and he just made a comment that he appreciated the board's thoughtful letter. And we happened to take an opposing position. It was one of our opposition, but he clearly articulated what we had put in the opposition letter and appreciated that. And I thought, wow, that's great. Somebody actually read our letter. So, I think again, that's great feedback, and I wanted to share with you. Now what I'd like to do is talk a bit about one of the bills here, going back to the 2860 licensed physicians and dentists from Mexico programs. I've been in some communications with the sponsor, individual involved in this program. And if you recall, our board has not participated in it because it required funding that we didn't have. It's just something that's sort of been there, but we've never been able to implement. We don't have the funding for it. But in conversations, the medical board has been able to proceed with their program. They're now where they have actual data showing the success of this program. This bill is currently being amended to kind of split off the two pilot programs and to make some amendments to the physicians. And there is interest now in taking what has been learned from the physician piece of it, how to apply it to the dental board. And so I'm excited about this because I think this appears to be more of what the board would like to get access to care. And that's what we want to do. I'll just stop right there. So I think it's important to have a conversation about that. We do a speaker here that's going to quick 2-minute presentation, and then afterwards we do have some documentation that we will share with the board members. We will also post that. It kind of came in late, but we will post it, and we will continue these discussions. I think the board will at future meetings, and then after we can also talk more about Sunset. We received some letters which were posted as well, and then of course any other bills that the board may like to discuss. No, sorry, it's not a presentation. It is a public comment. Thank you, Council, for clarifying. It's a public comment. So with that, I will open it up to the board. Dr. Felsenfeld.
Is there discussion about this bill or any of the bills? I mean, there's a whole slew there. We'll get to you in a moment, sir. Okay, bear with us. Is there any board discussion or questions about our position on any of these bills? Seeing none. I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Please let you're speaking. I didn't hear you. Sorry.
So you were saying that we don't have the funding. How do we go about that?
I would be happy to explore that and get back to you on that. I am not knowledgeable on the Mexico pilot program.
Thank you, Dr. Molina. Is there other board comment on any of these bills? All right. Unless we want to change our position, it's going to be informational. And then we'll go then to public comment. Now, if you'd like to come up, sir, we'd be good to have you come and talk 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to talk about this and just introduce yourself, if you will. Yes, sir. Oh, no, absolutely. Have us.
It's very important that we at least consider,
Wait 1 second. 1 second, sir. I understand what you're asking. It's a difficult decision to make because we know you can't discuss your program. But we have been applying the 2-minute rule to everyone else, talking about the area of interest that you're working with. And I think it would be unfair to them if we gave you more than 2 minutes. So if you can do something in 2 minutes, then we would like to have your information and that you can send to us and we can be looking, but not in the board meeting itself. Okay, all right. If you, sure.
Very specific and very. I hope that we will.
Sir, you're starting to get into discussion. Please, we will give you the 2 minute, the 2 minutes. You can send in what you, this is not meant to be a discussion back and with all due respect. And we've told you. Okay, then we can answer questions after the fact. Just tell us what the program is. And turn your mic on, please, sir. Identify yourself, if you will.
I'm Arnold Torres, and I'm the consultant to Clínica Salud del Valle de Salinas. But I'm the author of the legislation that started the pilot. I'm the author of this bill. On the dental issue, we did not move and amend the original bill, which is 1045, which is still in AB 2060. The focus has been the doctors because the shortage is so phenomenally worsening every year. The problem is very severe with dentists as well. But the community health centers that we work with have prioritized health, and our bill this time includes psychiatry, which is a significant improvement because there are virtually no Spanish-speaking psychiatrists that are out there willing to be recruited to come and work. So very simply, we've never expected the federal government to fund any of this. We don't want state money to fund administration and the creation of this program because we're always concerned from the very beginnings that the populace of California would say, why are you spending money on a population that is undocumented? So we have spent general fund dollars. We did request general fund dollars. We have spent and recruited, secured money from foundations. And now this program, as it's expanding,
30 seconds.
Will include, will be financed by the health centers that are recruiting, that we're recruiting the doctors for. So this is a phenomenal program. It's grown beyond what anybody thought. I provided you with information of the evaluation that we required. UC Davis School of Medicine evaluated. It's running perfectly. I have no reason to believe that the dental program, as we will structure it, will be different. We don't want the doctors here permanently. You have some questions to allow me to
We can't get into a discussion of, it's just not the way it works here, but you had a final comment you wanted to make?
I think it's very important that you hold a hearing, not on any one bill, but you hearing on the importance of the following. In 1980, it was discussed that it was said to be the decade of Hispanic. The state of California had Hispanics in the state of California at that time than any other state. What did the medical school, dental schools of the state of California do to deal with that reality of phenomenal growth? They did not. They did nothing to prepare doctors and dentists to be culturally and linguistically competent to see the population that was continuing to grow. You've now gotten to a point where you cannot, as a state, deal with this on its own. You must involve Mexico in some form or another. So rather than focus on one bill or one initiative, I strongly recommend this board, as the medical board will be doing, to hold a hearing that focuses on what you are going to do as a board to address the phenomenal diversity that California has and the ability of its academic institutions to train doctors and dentists to speak the language and know the culture of the patient of this state.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. And we'll have more information from you, and Dr. Montez wants to make a comment.
And just lastly, I really look forward to working with Ms. She was a pleasure to talk to over the phone. That was a very great beginning because I didn't have that necessarily with the medical board. But over the years, we have a great relationship with the board now. It's the kind of relationship we hope to have with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Montez, want to comment?
Yes, and I would just like to echo too, I had a great conversation with Mr. Torres, and just let the board know I have already scheduled an appointment with or meeting with the DC director to discuss the medical board and its role with the next pilot program, because at the time she was the executive director, and so I'm fact finding right now, and I've received the letter, and I will make sure the board gets board members get in copies of the letters, and we'll have it posted. So I'm looking forward to future discussion. Thank you.
Before a complete public comment, we're going to talk about, do this separately, or do you want to continue within this packet? Because it's in the packet.
There's any other?
Is there any other comment? We're asking public comment now at this point. So do we need to talk about 1453?
I think what we should do is, and again, forgive me, I'm filling in. I think what we should do is go into SB 1453, because we do have a lot of discussion, and certainly if there's any other bills or questions, we can throw those in. But we do anticipate, I'm going to turn this over to our legal counsel. She may have some additional comments that she wants to add, and then we do have stakeholders that would like to make a comment. And so I ask the indulgence here, because we may need to clarify amendments as comments are made. So this again may be a little bit out of our traditional.
We are 3 minutes from the lunch break. Do we want to pick this up after then? I know that's the time is bad, but we supposedly have a lunch break. It has to happen at 11:30.
Do we have lunch? We do have lunch here. It's up to the board members.
Think break, lunch, half hour.
Yes, half hour. Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll pick it up there at noon. We're going to call the meeting back after this recess. We still have work to do, but I think we're going to get. We left in the middle of 7D, and Dr. Montez will pick up and talk about some of the bills, and then have some additional comments and move through it.
Okay, so this is the of the meeting, board meeting. Again, Tracy Montez, executive officer, the part of the meeting where we're going to discuss ever so briefly our sunset bill. And what I wanted to do is to specifically address two letters that the board received, and they are posted, and just comment on them with regard to the latest version of the bill. So the letter was received by the California Dental Assisting Alliance on July 28th, and they expressed, general support for SB 1453. They did have some concerns about the unlicensed dental assistant having no prior work experience other than the 8-hour infection control, CPR 12-hour coronal polishing, concerns about not having the coronal polish requirement. They want the board to reconsider the polish, putting back in that requirement with regard to the work experience and so forth. I'm sure they will come up and clarify this a bit more, but I want to address that the Business Professions Code did not seek to accept that amendment, and so that's not included in the latest version. And I do again want to remind as I have to remind myself, is that this isn't our bill. Yes, it's our sunset bill, but this is really the Senate Business and Professional Code. It's their bill that we support, or we take positions on, and we collaborate as a stakeholder on various amendments. The other letter that was received from the California Association of Orthodontists was dated August 13th. Again, expressed appreciation for the majority of Senate Bill 1453, and did have some comments and questions on the 6-month RDA work requirements before an application is submitted, as well as some issues with regard to the timeframes for taking the course, sitting for the exam, so forth. And the actual board at the time did support a reduction from 12 months to 6 months on work experience requirements. However, in further amendments from the Senate Business and Professions Committee, they asked us to consider just removing the work experience requirement period for both the class and the and taking the exam. And that was in conjunction with our executive committee as approved. The thought was, you take the course, you want to be able to go out and use your skill set and not have to delay in applying your knowledge. So again, I'm just addressing those two to update the board in terms of the letters that were received in relation to Sunset Bill. And again, the change with regard to what the board had, the decision that had been made at the May meeting and what the executive committee had supported from the amendments offered by Senate Business and Professions. And with that, we'll turn it over to Dr. Felsenfeld to coordinate board member questions and stakeholder public comment.
And I'm going to take a point of personal privilege, and I have to apologize. We have a new member of the board who was with the first meeting. He was a new member of the board back in May, but Mr. Robert David, sitting to my right, and who's actually been participating very nicely this morning already, is the newest member of the board who's at his first meeting. So, Mr. David, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and where you're from, and things like that?
Sure. So I had a full 8 hours to drive here today. So I live in Sacramento, and used to live in California. Have been in the healthcare field for 35 years. My last position of consequence was Director of Statewide Health Planning and Development, and worked under
Here.
both Governor
For
Brown.
the government.
Yeah, both Governor Brown and Governor Newsom. So I do a little healthcare consulting with hospitals now, and I'm very happy on this board and appreciate the opportunity.
You coming with good background. All right, now let's continue on. I'm sorry, we didn't do that at the very beginning, and I almost didn't do it again today. Please, Mr. David, don't take that personally. Both of our new people hit the ground running. They're really doing very well. All right, let's get back. And are there any board member comments about, I guess, anything on this list that we've talked about, and our positions, or where we are, and even the letters that we just talked about? I'm seeing none. Dr. Cora, you want to say something? Close to your mouth, please.
Yes, for the orthodontic assistant program, I see that you're taking away the 6-month requirement completely. And there is another piece here, the work experience. Would that also be taken away, or is that the 6-month work requirement before the OA?
Correct. Both of those have been removed.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other board comments or questions? So this becomes informational. Is there any public comment? Any public comment from those who are participating in the room here? Randolph, good afternoon.
Hello, Melanie Randolph, representing the Dental Assisting Alliance. And we have to say we're shocked and surprised and don't understand how at the last board you can unanimously vote to keep the work experience requirement, yet 2 people or 3 people in an executive committee can overturn a decision by the full board. Seems to be
How did that happen?
out of, yeah.
We're going to give you a response to that.
Yeah, and let me just again clarify, this is a bill. So it's when we are approached by the Senate Business and Professions Committee on amendments. Again, they are the author of the bill, so they are working with various stakeholders. The board is a stakeholder, and so they know the board position, but then there's additional conversation and discussions that take place, executive committee allowed to offer their opinion and involve their input in those discussions. So I want to be clear that ultimately it's Senate Business and Finance Committee that makes the decision.
I understand that, but I would hope you made it very clear that board, when the board voted on this, that it is a unanimous decision and that your executive committee is speaking just by yourselves, representing what the board had said, because this is a big issue. Assistance. We are extremely disappointed.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Any of the speakers coming up?
Sherry Becker, Assisting Alliance. I agree with Randolph's comments and support that. And also would like to address our letter that we had submitted regarding the, excuse me, the polish concern with the work experience as well, and eliminating that language had been previously approved, agreed upon, and having that stricken is also a great grievance with us as well for the work experience. And just to clarify, so the experience has been removed from the OA and the DSA also? OA.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment from people in the room?
So this is Sheetal Patil, I represent the California Association of Orthodontists. I want to take my time to appreciate the board's towards being flexible and streamlining the licensing processes for RDA 6-month removal from the workforce. Their OA application submission is going to be made easier. We, like anybody else in the profession, are suffering from huge work shortages. The other point that I want to emphasize is that orthodontic assistants have a lot narrower scope of duties as compared to the registered dental assistant. And taking the time, the experience in the workforce, being there for a longer duration, delays our processes in applying to these programs they want to do. The other requirement, or the other point that we want the board to pay attention to, is our ultrasonic scaling requirement. I cannot fathom that any other orthodontic office who uses ultrasonic scaling at their offices to remove the band cement. Currently, the band cements have changed. None of us carry, very rarely, I remember anybody who has an ultrasonic scaler in their office. So, you know, the elimination of the work experience requirement and the ultrasonic scaling
30 seconds.
course part of is crucial, that we, you know, have more orthodontic assistants trained quickly. And I want to thank and support the board to help us out with our needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Becker? One item per person. You're a different person?
Sherry Becker, representing Sherry Becker as an RDA. And as I'm listening and going through this process, and I'm very appreciative of the process, it's feeling as if the criteria is getting watered down for permits and for licensure. And it's difficult to think of someone coming off the streets and being able to certain duties and things with no work experience. And so saying they have to do a educational pathway per se, by taking away any work experience at all, I think is really contributing to watering parts and pieces of our assisting profession. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment from people in the audience? Seeing none, are there public comments from individuals who are participating via the WebEx? DCA moderator, please facilitate for public comment.
We are open for public comment on 7D. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. And as a reminder to our mobile device users, if you're having trouble finding that hand button, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... and cycle through the 3 different pages to find the hand. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Thank you. We'll be fine. We are now going to move on to agenda 8, the status update on pending regulations. Dr. Montez.
Good afternoon, Tracy Montez, Executive Officer. Okay, again, a very brief update on our regulations. The first one, and again, starts on page 105. Updates to the board's disciplinary guidelines. This rulemaking was noticed for a 15-day public comment period, modified text approved by the board at February 9th, 2024 board meeting. It ran from February 23rd to March 11th. No comments, adverse or otherwise, were received. Staff proceeded to file the package with the Office of Administrative Law. The package approved by OAL and filed with the Secretary of State on June 20th. 2024, the new regulation and the updated edition of the disciplinary and now called denial guidelines effect on October 1st. So thanks to staff and the board for moving this forward. Again, clarifications also are both of our council and our board council were helpful in that. Update to the board's uniform standards for substance abusing licensees. The board approved the proposed text for this rulemaking at its November 2023 board meeting. Staff have filed a rulemaking package with OAL, and notice was published in the Notice Register on 31st, 2024. The 45-day public comment period ended. Adverse comments were received on the proposed rulemaking, and board staff will be, please strike the have, but will be submitting the package for final approval and filing with OAL via Department of Consumer Affairs. This is my duty next week to do my assignment. Application for licensure by examination. Proposed text was approved by the board at the November 2023 board meeting. 2023 board staff are working on the initial rulemaking package. Dental assisting exams, which we spoke about this morning during the council meeting. Again, this proposed text was approved the board in November 2023. The package has been filed with OAL. It is out for its 5-day public comment period, which is August 27th. And we anticipate bringing any, if there's adverse comments received, bringing this at the November board meeting. Our section 100 was filed with OAL June 3rd, 2024. Approved on the 16th, and these took immediate effect. Again, this was reported during the council meeting. The next two are our working groups mentioned during our council meeting. Dental regulations work group consists of council chair Miyazaki and council vice chair Jerry Fowler. They're reviewing these regulations. The package that was put together, looking any edits or changes that need to be made. And again, considering how this will impact once our sunset bill is passed, and then they will continue to move the various articles and bringing those to the board. Moving on to infection control working group. Appointed our 2-person working group back in February. Council Chair Miyazaki and Board Vice President Pacheco. Again, are reviewing proposed regulatory language and new research codes, things that are pertinent be taken into account, edits being made, and then again, we will be consulting with the dental hygiene board subject matter expert to receive input. And then we anticipate bringing this back at the November council and board meeting. So again, this item is informational. No action is requested. Hopefully you can see how the board needs to make progress on its regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Montez. Is there any board comment on this additional item? There's no voting going to be going on, but any comment on the regulatory package? Seeing none, is there any in-person public comment on these packages? Again, seeing none, are there public comments from the individuals participating via web? Will the DCA moderator please facilitate lines for public comment?
We are open for public comment on agenda item 8. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, you wish to continue with the agenda?
Thank you, we will. We now move on to agenda item 9A, a discussion and possible action to evaluate the dental anesthesia assistant certification examination for use in the California dental sedation and assistant permit process. Dr. Montez.
Thank you. And I'm going to just have dental assisting council chair Kara Miyazaki to come up and help with this item because this is actually going to be part of her report, and have her take you through these in terms of what the council made their recommendations of. And just let me know, Chair, at what point you would like me to jump in.
You want me to go start with 8A, B, C, or do you want me to just go directly to the OM?
Yeah, let's just start with 9A, the first one, which is the dental sedation exam.
For agenda 8A, discussion and recommendation to evaluate the dental anesthesia assistant certification exam for use in California dental sedation assistant permit process. So move to recommend to the board that it approve the request to have OPS conduct a comprehensive review of the AOSM DAA NCE exam.
Thank you. And I'll just elaborate again a little bit, but the board administers this exam, had difficulty with ongoing exam development and occupational analysis as per Business and Professions Code Section 39. So the Office of Professional Examination Services has recommended that we consider using a national exam, possibly as a replacement or in an addition. We don't know yet. However, we would like the board to authorize that the board expend funds to move forward with the project and then report back for further discussion as whether this would be viable for the board in terms of access to care, portability, various things like that.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there any board member comment on this at this point? Yeah, I will take Dr. Fick, go ahead.
Earlier this morning, during the dental assistant meeting, it was brought up that scope would be a little bit limited. Could not find what limitations on the scope would be from what you are currently dental assistants who have the sedation assisting certification. What is it that they can do that they will not be able to do with the national certification?
That would be part of the report. So at this point, it's merely saying, go out, see if the exam is fair, valid, legally defensible, and how does it link up with our exam and our requirements, and then they produce a nice comprehensive report that lays all out for the board then to vet and
Is there any further member discussion on this? I'm going to put a word in here. In full disclosure, I was a member, it's the AAOMS. I'm sorry, that's written incorrectly, Ms. Miyazaki. The AAOMS. I was a member of the committee this together. It was a 4-year assignment. I was there 8 years. That's the way it works when you do things. And I chaired committee for a number of years, and I wrote many of the questions, but the exam, if you were here this morning, as Dr. Montez was talking about, incredibly psychometrically driven. Every year they go through it, every year they questions that are working or not working, and they get all the data and all that. It is a wonderful exam, and some people think it's too hard, actually, in the sense that not everybody passes it, which is not unreasonable in the world of psychometry. Anyway, I think it's a good idea. I think we need to look at it, vet it to see if this could be used either in addition to if there's some minor changes to what we do here in California, certainly by itself if need be. Okay? So I'm speaking for it. Okay, any other board comments? Ms. Oligi?
I'd like to make a,
Sorry.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve request from OPS to conduct a comprehensive review of the AAOMS stance.
And I will second that. So any other board member discussion on that? Mr. Davis? Oh, okay, I thought you were going. Well, hang on, we got the people out there. So any person public comments on this? Okay, are there any public comments from the individuals who are participating via WebEx? The DCA moderator, please facilitate the comments from those who are WebEx.
We are open for public comment on 9A. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
We will continue. Thank you, sir. We are now ready to take a vote. Board Secretary, please call the roll and record for this agenda item.
Jane, Board Secretary, the motion is to move to approve the request to have OPS conduct a comprehensive review of the AAOS stance. Chan?
Chan, aye.
Chan, I, Chang?
Chang, aye.
Chang, I, Dave?
David, aye.
David, I, Felsenfeld?
Felsenfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge?
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larin, I, Mackenzie?
Mackenzie, yes.
Mackenzie, I, Medina?
Medina, I.
Medina, I, Molina?
Molina, I.
Molina, I, Olage?
Aye.
Olage, I, Pacheco?
Pacheco.
Pacheco, I, Takur?
Akur, I.
Takur, I, you?
You, aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you. Agenda item 9B, the discussion and possible action to evaluate the dental assisting national certified orthodontic assistant examination for use in the California orthodontic permit process. Dr. Montez.
Again, similar to the previous item, this is a recommendation to have the board approve expenditure of funds and the project to evaluate the National Board Certified Orthodontic Examination for use in California. And again, I will turn it over to Chair Mia. Thank you. The Dental Assisting Council would recommend to the board that it approve the request to have OPES conduct a comprehensive review of the DAMB Certified Ortho Assistant exam.
Thank you. Is there any board, make the motion? Okay, you can, go ahead. Olagi, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to move to approve the request to have OPS conduct a comprehensive review of the DAMB COA examination.
We have a second.
You second.
Wait.
14?
Got Medina, sorry. All right. Thank you. We have it seconded. Is there further board discussion before we take the vote? Seeing none, is there any in-person public comment on this issue? None. Are there public comments from individuals who are participating via WebEx? Will the DCA moderator please facilitate the lines for the comment?
We are open for public comment on 9B and the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
I do. Thank you. Board Secretary, please call the roll and record the votes for this agenda item?
Secretary Larin, the move is to approve the request to have PES conduct a comprehensive review of the DANB CA examination. Chen? Chen, I.
Chang, I.
Chang, I. David?
David, I.
David, I. Felsenfeld?
Aye.
So I. Forge?
Forge, aye.
Forge, I. Larin, I. Mackenzie?
Mackenzie, yes.
Mackenzie, I. Medina?
Aye.
Medina, I. Molina?
Lena,
Molina, I. Olage?
Olagi, aye.
I. Pacheco?
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I. Takur?
Thakur, aye.
You?
You, I.
You, I. And passes.
Thank you. We now move on to agenda item 9C, which will be a discussion and possible action to translate the registered dental assisting general written and law and ethics exam for languages. Dr. Montez.
Tracy Montez, Executive Officer, again, in response to care concerns, possible barriers to license, the Department of Consumer Affairs boards and bureaus are either currently translating or considering translating their respective licensing examinations as a strategy to address these issues. Consistent with these efforts, the Dental Board of California and the Dental Council are being asked to review and discuss the information provided in the attached Office of Professional Examination Services memo. If the board believes the registered dental assistant general written and law and ethics examination should be translated, then board staff recommends further board discussion and possible action before initiating licensure examination adaption, we call it, because it's not a word for word translation. We really want to make sure that the board considers English literacy required for safe and RDA practice, as well as the considerations for adapting examinations, included potential unintended consequences that are outlined in the OPS memo. And as I reminded the council members earlier this morning, we're talking about ongoing process. It's not one single exam, but it's each form of the exam that goes through an adaptation process, which we would be outsourcing for. And with that, I will turn it over to Miyazaki.
Thank you. The council is not making a formal recommendation, but wanted to convey observations and decisions mentioned during the council meeting. Arguments for translation include student textbooks are available electronically in other languages. The Dental Assisting National Board, DANB, has had success with the dental assisting examination translated in Spanish. However, the exam has only been available for a few months. It would be helpful to monitor the data to see if pass rates continue to track with the English exam. Arguments against translation for the exam include the Spanish version for an examination, which is administered by Barbering and Cosmetology Board, has had the lowest pass rates of different languages. It was also noted in one program, dental hygiene students are taught in English and able to pass the licensing exam in English successfully.
So clear, the council did not position, but raised these concerns.
Yes.
All right, so we're now at where the board can start to chat about this. Any board discussion on the possibility of doing these exams or adapting these exams, thank you, Dr. Montez, to different languages.
So can you clarify what you were saying about when they took the barber and cosmetology board, when they took it in Spanish, it was a lower passing rate? Is that what you?
The exam is in English. There's 4 different languages: Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, and Spanish. Out of those 4, Spanish has the lowest pass rate.
Have they made any correlation as to why? Do they give it to them in English and in Spanish, and then in Spanish they have a lower pass rate, or just the people that take it in Spanish are not as prepared, and then they have a lower rate?
Dr. Montez, you explained that earlier in the council meeting.
So the Barbering Cosmetology has actually been exploring this issue for years. Literally, they put a task force together to better evaluate this. They've worked with OPS, they've worked with their other test vendor. Everybody has tried to explore why this is happening. They started simple adaptation. They have added dictionaries at one point, and then now they have the English version next to the Spanish version, and that part, and it continues to have very low pass rate, and we have not been able to, and I say we because I was part of the process at one point in time, is to really pin down what's happening other than the dialects and challenges with having to adapt an exam. It can be very difficult, maybe depending upon, the extent of the individual's, Spanish they use, what they're most familiar, comfortable. It's just been very challenging. Again, they've been looking at this for years. It was a sunset issue for them where they were again required to put together a task, and they have been unable to find a specific reason. We do continue to offer the exam in Spanish, that option.
Dr. Levine.
Well, yeah, thank you for the answer. Maybe just because they're not studying as much.
Please to your mic or turn your mic on. Either way.
It is.
Or both.
It is on. Okay. Well, I'd like to see that we explore translating the exam, but I'm not sure about translating, but definitely having some sort of ability of being able to have it translated, a translator, if somebody wants to translate. I mean, and just explore any option.
I said yes. If the board so chooses, we can certainly explore different options. I will tell you, using translators is very tricky because it goes into security issues, and an expense with that. I'm certainly happy to look into because we have had other boards in the past do that. So I can continue to gather information if the board doesn't want to make a particular decision right now, but other than to gather more information, I can talk with our boards that do translation. I'm familiar with the acupuncture board, the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology, contractors, and again, more information about what they're doing.
Ms. Alagi?
I support Dr. Lawrence's comments and look at translator, but also to Ms. Masari. Is it on? Yeah. There was also another comment about Danby. So they translated it to Spanish and have that one, and it's been out for a few months, but their pass rate is equal, right? There's not a lower pass rate.
Very similar.
Very similar pass rate. So I would like to recommend, in addition, continue discovery, that we reach out to Danby and see what does their look like, or what does that look like, and continue to follow if possible.
Thank you, Ms. Alagi. And Ms. Cheng.
My question is, has there been any specific advocacy groups or interest groups that have requested that this be identified or looked at, researched, reviewed specifically?
It pops up under access care, but unlike some of the other boards that I would say really where there's a strong advocacy, at least in my 2 years, it's been of a, hey, this might be an option sort of thing. I do have stakeholders approaching me on a regular basis or on, that are asking for this.
I guess there's not been
an
any
option.
formal mission in paper or request
Correct.
and that this be.
Yeah, correct.
Very much.
It's an
You're
ongoing issue.
And to Board Member Alagi's question, looking at the Danby's exam, I think is a good idea, because one of my questions, again, as a trained psychometrician, is what are they doing? Are they doing a full range of adaptation, which is translate and then retranslate? It's a two-step process. Are they doing that on all their forms? Do they have subject matter experts? So I'm curious as well.
Any board member discussion on this issue?
This is Dr. Forge.
Hi, Dr. Forge. I see you.
Hi.
Go ahead.
I have a question. Are we just talking about translating into Spanish or looking into other languages too?
I think at this point it was Spanish because that's it tends to be the largest population. There are some parameters about 5% of your candidate population and how you make decisions on translating. So certain that's where we typically, if we get requests, it's to Spanish, but certainly we can look at other options and percentages and needs and things like that.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Any other board questions or comments? If we do nothing, if we do not make a motion, we're going to continue to look at this. I think the board, the message, staff has gotten the message, and this is something we do need more data on, more information on. There's a lot of moving parts. Is there any kind of a motion that needs to be made to the board at this point?
I'd like to make a motion to explore.
All right,
Lady.
Dr. Loren, please, you
Larin.
have to identify yourself because we're
Dr.
recording
Larin.
this so that we have it. Dr. Molina, same to you. Just speak all you want, but please, go ahead, Dr. Loren.
Hello, I make a motion to explore the translating the RDA exam or other any a law and ethics examination or anything else that could help with translations.
All right, who's going to second that? Anybody? Alagi, thank you. All right, and the board member discussion on the motion to explore translating it into Spanish. That's what you're asking for, Dr. Loren?
Yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, any instant comments on this? Seeing none, how about through WebEx? Would you facilitate the microphones for those people working through WebEx? See if there's any comments.
We are open for public comment via WebEx on 9C and the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of your screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Sure, thank you. Dr. Loren, would you stand up to take the vote, please?
Chan? Chan, I. Chan.
Chang, aye.
Chang, I. David.
Aye.
David, I. Felsenfeld.
Felsenfeld, aye.
Phil, I. Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I. Larin, I. McKenzie.
Mackenzie, yes.
McKenzie, I. Medina.
Medina, I.
Medina, I. Molina.
Medina, I.
Medina, I. Olage.
Olagi,
I. Pacheco.
Pacheco, I.
Pacheco, Takur.
Takur, I.
Takur, I.
UI.
UI, motion passes.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take the report of the dental assistant council out of order since Ms. Miyazaki is up there. Do you want to just the rest of what you have and then we'll go back in sequence?
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon. The Dental Assisting Council met today, Thursday, August 15, 2024. Here's a summary of the meeting. Agenda items 1 through 7 and agenda items 9 through 10 included establishment of a quorum, approval of past meeting minutes, informational items, usually and customary updates. The remainder of the meeting was what we summarized previously. Do you want me to summarize that again?
I think we've heard it. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Miyazaki. So the substance is taken care of in terms of bringing it back up here then. Thank you very much. All right, let's go to item 10 now, an update from the Access to Care. Dr. Loren, did you want to sit there or sit here?
I'll
Did
say,
I miss
I'll say
something?
right.
You can call for public. Well, yeah, that's true.
Thank you. Ready?
No, we didn't have public comment. I apologize.
Oh,
Any
okay.
public comment on the Dental Assisting Council's report by board members? Seeing none, but public comment from people who are sitting in the audience with us. Hey, we all have patients, sometimes with a T, sometimes without. Any public comment from anybody who's here? Seeing none, will you please facilitate the public comment from those who are participating WebEx, please?
Absolutely. We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. And we will call on people in the order we have requests. And as a reminder to our mobile device users, if you're having trouble finding that hand button, you may need to hit the ellipses button, that's the ... and cycle through the 3 different pages. We're going to wait just a couple more seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, I think we're safe to continue.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to, and Dr. Lederman, would you like to present the report or update from the Access to Care Committee?
I would
That
thank.
right there.
Thank you. This is Dr. Lett, Access to Care Chair. The committee requested that the board move to authorize 4 action items that the committee wanted to work on, and these were approved by the boards in November. And I'd like to just give you an update on what's happening. The first of the 4 was to explore ideas to improve license exam transparency. Since then, candidate information bulletin CIP has been reviewed and efforts are being made to ensure a better understanding of their use. The new examination plan for registered dental assistants license applications went also into effect on May 1st, 2024. Both the CIP and examination plan have been posted on the board's website. Okay, so for question 2, which was the translation of documents for the exam to other languages, we just discussed that, and I'm happy to see that. For question 3, it was a candidate to see how they want to know how they study, so they asked 4 questions on the after the PSI computer-based test survey, and for each RDA applicant to see their testing experience and gather feedback about how the applicant prepared to take the exam. The survey results are the new item was handed out this morning in the memorandum from July 26th. You should have it right. So the questions were, how do you prepare for the RDA exam? How much time did you spend preparing for the RDA exam? And those are the results right there. Once you were approved to sit on the RDA exam, how much did you pass before you scheduled the exam appointment? And the 4th one is, do you feel the steps you took to get ready for the RDA exam help prepare sufficiently? And where I saw a little bit of discrepancy, yes were 307 people, no 58, and some 408. So that we can start looking into that. Why wrote somewhat, or what else can we do to improve that? Last question was, how would you rate the information in the candidate information brochure? And that was a new one, right, Dr. Okay, so that scored pretty good. So that was excellent, 5.3. And the next step that we have are to develop a survey for addressing recruitment and retention of RDAs. That was related to the recommendation 4. Consider translating the RDA written law and ethics examination and dental assisting council item 8. And that's all we have at this time, unless the core wants to add something. The core is a co-chair with the Access Care Committee.
Just the things that we talked about earlier this morning in the DAC meeting, to look at how these survey responses kind of relate to pass or fail, if that's possible, because what we're really trying to figure out is, do we aid people to pass the test and become licensed? So just that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thakur. Thank you, Dr. Loren. Continue. It's good. Are there any, as an informational item, are there any board member comments on the report or questions for Dr. Loren Thakur? Dr. Chan, are you reaching forward? Okay, we're good.
Can I
Thank
just
you.
say one last thing? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Pez and staff, for working hard on this and going through this very quick. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Are there any in-person public comments on this report? Seeing none, are there public comments from those participating via WebEx? DCA moderator, please facilitate the lines for public.
We are open for public comment on agenda item 10. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
Thank you. Yes, we go to agenda item 11, enforcement, the review of statistics and trends. Alvarez, good afternoon, sir. Come on up and tell us what you know.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, board members. Carlos Alvarez, Enforcement Chief. I'm here to present on agenda item 11A, enforcement statistics, and I'm reporting statistics between April 1st, June 30th of 2024. And I hope everybody had an opportunity to review the statistics. And I just kind of want to direct you over to the meeting materials on page 128. And I apologize, there was a typing error here. On the number of is closed, we reported 53, but the typing error should actually be 73. So our number is higher. And also on very next page on the meeting materials, page 129, patients, again, we reported 9, but that number is higher. It's with 15. So I kind of want to cover how our enforcement program is kind of striving to our mission to protect the consumer. Bi-weekly, all the enforcement managers, we meet with Tracy. We provide updates, enforcement program. We provide statistics. We open up communications between all the enforcement advisors and with Tracy. So I just also want to acknowledge by having this, we're really doing a really good job in our enforcement program. And I always comment, and I keep looking at these statistics, and I always go back to CCU. Because again, with our complaint compliance unit, everything starts there. And if you see in our statistics, you see zeros, which is good. It's very good that they're just moving on these cases. And again, I always talk to CCU because, again, everything starts there. It's really great. And all of our investigative staff, they're doing a really good job. And that's how we're, meeting our mission to protect the consumers. And also just more recently, different societies, dental schools throughout California, they've been contacting the dental board, and they've been requesting for our presentation on the enforcement program. And so my experience presenting on the enforcement program has been very positive. We've been receiving very positive feedback and all that. There's a licensees that are really intrigued, and they really want to know what our program does and what we do. So I think that's really great. And I think, the highlights of our enforcement program, how everybody's out reaching out to us. And, and the fun thing is presenting is just kind of, they're saying, are you friend? Oh, and I was like, no, I'm friend. They're just kind of joking, but like I said, they're really interested in our enforcement program.
Dr. Montez.
Carlos, mention your Univision interview.
Yes. Also, it was, I've been with about a month or so. We were called by Univision to conduct an interview in Spanish. It was, again, regarding our enforcement program. And so I was very happy to present on behalf of the dental board and the enforcement program. It went really well. And as of, I think it still hasn't been, I think they're still kind of collecting more information to present on the enforcement program. And it was basically is how could consumers reach out to us so we can assist them.
That's excellent.
And again, I just want to really us for doing that, because we actually coordinated with the Department of Consumer Affairs Communications Division and media. So we always work with any media requests. They're the expert. And so they came to us and said, hey, Univision would like to do an interview. Do you have somebody that can do this? And immediately thought of Carlos, our enforcement chief, and they, work with questions so that it's fair and balanced interview process. But yeah, we're very excited, and as soon as it airs, I will be happy to share the link with everybody.
Excellent. Thank you. So is there any board discussion about this report? Dr. Rin.
Well, not about the report, but I did want to Mr. Alvarez for his presentation to the San Diego Dentist Society. I appreciate it. They liked it a lot, and they want him back for a long presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Leary. Any other comments from the board? Dr. Molina.
Dr. Molina. So Carlos, that's a great job, and it'll be great if you keep us posted when, because usually they'll let you know when they're going to air it. So if you can keep us posted, that'll be great.
Nice to see.
Yes, will do.
And Mr. Davis.
Of the complaints that you receive every month or quarterly, what percentage come through the website, or what Do you ever break that out?
Well, as percentages, I don't really have that, but I would say the majority actually come in via mail. I have the portal where we're able to receive it electronically as well. But as far as the percentages, I don't have those, but I can have that for you.
Maybe next meeting. maybe we
Yes.
could do that. Thank you.
Any other comments for Mr. Alvarez or questions? Dr. Chair?
Good afternoon, Carlos.
Good afternoon.
Is there advantage or is it within our scope to look at trends or categories with segueing into your presentation and then maybe the newsletter cautionary tales out there? You know, what to watch out for? What are you doing that you watch out for? Is that within our?
Well, we have our newsletters that we, and actually we have a set there for enforcement, and we call it, you know, and that's where we provide information on certain our laws, regulations, and so each time that we have a newsletter, we meet with all our supervisors, just the trends are what's coming up and the information we should put out there so we can help the agencies.
Yeah, we don't really call it trends, but that's exactly what the enforcement team, they came to CNI and said, hey, we have an idea. And that's what we've been doing. And we are working on this November newsletter and to have those common things to keep your eye for. Yep.
Any other comments? Seeing none, are there in-person public comments on this report? Seeing none, are there public comments from those individuals who are participating via WebEx? Will the DCA operator please facilitate the lines for the people on WebEx?
We are open for public comment on 11A. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, you wish to continue?
I do, and thank you, Mr. Perez. Have a seat.
Thank you.
We're gonna move to item 11B, which is the diversion report and statistics. And I, Montez is gonna handle that.
Yes, I am. Tracy Montez, Executive Officer for Christelle, Assistant Executive Officer. Page 130 is the diversion program report and statistics. And as you can see, we continue to have 4 participants. This item is information only, no action is needed. Thank you.
Is there any board member comment on this report? Dr. Chan?
Past, we had a chair of the diversion committee give a very compelling testimony and presentation. It's worthwhile to relook at that again as we have transition with the board.
Thank you, Curtis Dixie. Excellent speaker. Any other comment on the report on diversion? Are there any in-person public comments on this report? Are there public comments from individuals who are participating via the WebEx? Moderator, would you please facilitate the lines for comment?
We are once again open for public comment on 11B this time. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
Thank you. We're going to go to item 12A. Ms. Hall, come forward. We're going to talk about general anesthesia and sedation permits, inspection, evaluation, statistics. Jessica Only.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Felsenfeld, members of the board. I'm happy to be here with you all. This agenda item begins on page 131 of the meeting materials, includes charts and tables, which break down the results of the on-site inspection evaluations completed in fiscal year 2023 and 24, separated by permit type. Also includes data for the 4 previous fiscal years, except for the modification permit, which is new. And at the end of this agenda item is a down of the evaluator pool, Northern and Southern California. I'm available for any questions, as this information or this memo is informational only.
Okay, thank you. Are there any board member comments on this report? I see. None. Are there any in-person public comments? None. Are there public comments from individuals who are participating via the WebEx DCA moderator? Please facilitate the lines for public comment.
We are open for public comment on 12A. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
We'll continue. Thank you. Agenda 12B, also Ms. Alney, discussion and possible action on a recommendation from the board's anesthesia committee regarding renewal of a moderate sedation permit following failure of on-site evaluation. Ms. Alney, would you like to introduce the topic?
Thank you, Dr. Feld. To provide some background, the sedation permit holders are required to pass the on-site inspection and evaluation to maintain their permits. Holders are evaluated in the first year of issuance and are then required to be reevaluated every 6 years. When a permit fails the on-site inspection and evaluation, they must be reevaluated and pass within 30 days notice, or the permit is suspended. If the permit holder fails solely in the simulated emergencies portion, they will be reevaluated in the simulated emergencies only. If the permit holder fails a second on-site inspection and evaluation, then the matter is presented to the board on whether to grant or deny the permit or request further evaluation with a board-appointed representative being present. On June 20, 2024, the anesthesia committee met to discuss permit holder KK, who at the, is actually, I have that initial wrong. Sorry, it is KK. Amended to the board's, who upon the recommendation of the board's SME to on inspections and evaluations in the simulated emergencies portion. The anesthesia committee has made the recommendation found at the bottom of page 143 to deny the permit and complete specific remedial education if the permit holder seeks to apply for a new moderate sedation permit.
Okay.
Apologies, it does begin on page 140, continues to page 144.
Okay. Anesthesia committee consists of myself and Dr. Chan. Would you like to make a couple of comments, Dr. Chan? Do what you like.
Okay,
You
so
wanna
I'd
make a
like to,
motion or Want to make comments or?
well, let's make the motion.
All right, thank
So
you, sir.
the committee would like to move to adopt committee recommendation to deny the renewal of MS moderate sedation permit if, number one. Number two, if permit holder KK seeks to apply for a new moderate sedation permit, the permit holder shall submit for prior board approval and successfully complete prior to applying, okay, this government statement with multiple sections in here.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep
so
doing-
number one, prior to applying for a new moderate sedation remedial education of 8 hours in recognizing and managing medical emergencies in the administration of moderate sedation to dental patients in an outpatient setting, and 8 hours of patient evaluation for administration of moderate sedation to dental patients in an outpatient setting, and submit to and pass an on-site inspection and evaluation.
Thank you. I will say that as part of the committee, and this is item 2 on page 144, if you want to read all the verbiage that went with that. Is there any board member comments or discussion about the motion? Mr. David?
I'm just curious why we couldn't have voted on the online system like the other cases.
There's a reason for it, but it's because it's a second denial and it's simple as that. So, and it's not really it's not enforcement either. It's a permit denial. So it's different issue. Thank you. Any other board member comments on that? Seeing none, before we take the vote, is there any in-person person comment from the public, for public comment? Seeing none, are there any public comment from individuals participating via WebEx? Moderator, please facilitate the lines for public.
We are open for public comment on 12B. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Thank you, I do. For the purposes of clarity, Dr. Lirin, we're going to give you a break. You're not going to have to read it all, but we're looking at item number 2 on page 144 as a particular motions. That is the motion that's been made. And if you want to call the roll for that, we will.
Okay. Chan. Chan, I. Cheng.
Chang, I.
Cheng, I.
David, I.
David, I. Felsenfeld.
Phil, aye.
I. Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I. Larin. I. Kinsey.
Yes.
Kinsey, I. Medina.
Medina, aye.
Medina, I. Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I.
Polagi, aye.
Polagi, I. Pacheco.
Aye.
Pacheco, I. Takur.
Takur, aye.
You.
You, I.
My motion passed.
Thank you very much. We now move to 12C, discussion of possible action regarding appointment of general anesthesia, medical general anesthesia, and moderate sedation evaluators. Ms. Olney, would you like to present this, and I'll pick it up in my usual style?
Yes, thank
Thank you.
you. Jessica Only again.
This is actually one of my favorite parts of the meeting because we're doing that's really good.
Yes, this is exciting to me too because it means we increase our evaluator pool. The board conducts inspections and evaluations of general anesthesia, medical general anesthesia, and sedation permit applicants and permit holders, which includes the facility, personnel, and procedures utilized. The evaluation team consists of one or more permit holders who have been approved by the board who meet the criteria established in regulation. Evaluators who are subject matter experts in independent evaluation and make a recommendation to pass or fail in accordance with California Code of Regulations 10.3.6. Board staff are requesting that the board appoint 60 permit holders whose applications begin on page 149 of the meeting materials. And I'm available to answer questions you may have.
If not, the way we've been doing it, I think I've gotten consensus from the board very nicely. We will have to do these individually. Each individual has to be appointed to the board and a chance
Correct.
for discussion. I'm going to nominate them all one at a time, and then second, we'll go for board comments, public comment in the building, and public comment out, and then we'll take the vote and we'll move on. Okay. So the first nomination will be Dr. Alexander McMahon, who is has a general anesthesia permit, and he's as an oral maxillofacial surgeon. If approved, he will be conducting evaluations for a second.
You, a second.
Chan. Oh, Dr. Yu, I cut you off before. Dr. Yu, thank you. Do we have any board comment on Dr. McMahon's application? All of the applications are in your materials if you want to read them.
Correct.
Seeing none, are there any in-person comments on this application? Seeing none, are WebEx comments? I'm going to just leave it go, moderator. I'm just going to say WebEx and moderate it from there.
Understood. We are open for public comment on 12C. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
I do. Board Secretary, would you please take the vote Alexander Mann as a GA evaluator?
Chan.
Chan, I.
Chan, I. Cheng.
Aye.
Cheng, I. David.
David, I.
David, I. Felsenfeld.
Felsenfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I. Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I. Larin, I.
Kinsey, yes.
Kinsey, I. Medina. Medina, I. Molina.
Molina, aye.
I. Olage.
Polagi, aye.
Olage, I. Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I. Takur.
Or I.
Or I. You.
You, I.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. The second individual is Dr. Aldrich C. He is an oral and maxillofacial surgeon with a GA permit, and he is applying a GA permit evaluator. Are there any, I nominate him. Do we have a second? about this side of the room? Anybody over?
Thanks. Like,
Thank you, Dr. Chang, Mr. Chang, Dr. Chang, but Mr. Chang. So do we have any comments on Dr. C's nomination? Seeing none, in-person comments. About WebEx comments.
We are once again open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few more seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
I do, thank you. Dr. Loren for Dr. C for general anesthesia moderator. Would you
Chan?
take the vote?
Can I?
I, Chang.
Chang, I.
Chang, I, David.
Aye.
David, I, Felsenfeld.
Felsfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, McKenzie.
Yes.
McKenzie, I,
Aye.
Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
I, Pacheco.
Checo, I.
Pacheco, I, Takur. Takur, I, you.
Aye.
I, motion passes.
Thank you. This third one is Dr. Rajbir Gal, who has been an active MS permit holder since '3, and he's now applying to be an evaluator in moderate sedation. I nominate him. Do we have a second?
You second.
Dr. Yu, thank you very much. Is there any board comment on Dr. Bogal's nomination? Seeing none, are there any in comments? WebEx comments.
We are once again open for public comment on WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
Thank you. We're going to now take a vote on Dr. Raj Biral as a moderate sedation permit evaluator. Board Secretary.
We get a second? Did we get a first and a second?
We did.
We did?
We did.
Got it?
Yes, Dr. Feld was first and Dr. Yu was the second.
Okay. Chan?
Can I?
And I, Chang.
Chang, I.
Chang, I, David.
David, aye.
Felsenfeld.
Felsfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, McKenzie.
McKenzie, yes.
McKenzie, I, Medina. Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
I, Pacheco.
Checo, I.
Pacheco, I. Takur, I, you, I, motion passes.
Thank you. The next individual, Dr. Donald Clem, who's a periodontist and has a moderate sedation permit, and I would nominate him to become a moderate sedation permit evaluator. Second?
Mackenzie, second.
Thank you. I got it. Oh, Mackenzie, you can do the next one, okay? Pass it down the line. Do we have board comments on Dr. Clem? Seeing none, in-person comments? Seeing WebEx comments?
We are open for public comment on the next motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the motion?
I do, thank you. It's going for Dr. Donald Clem to be a moderate sedation evaluator. Dr. Board Secretary, please take the vote.
Chan?
Can I?
Chan, Chang?
Chang, I.
Chang, I, David.
David.
David, I, Felsenfeld.
Felsfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, McKenzie.
McKenzie, yes.
McKenzie, I, Medina.
Medina, aye.
Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
I, Pacheco.
Checo, I.
Pacheco, I, Takur, I, you.
Aye.
You, I, motion passes.
Thank you. The individuals, Dr. Omar Diab, he is a general dentist who has a moderate sedation permit, and he's applying to be a moderate sedation evaluator. I would nominate him. And a second, Ms. McKenzie. There you go. All right, we got McKenzie second. Yeah, everybody to do that today. Board comments on Dr. Diab. Seeing none, how about in-person comments? Seeing none. WebEx comments, are we okay with it? Okay, WebEx comments?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
I do, thank you. We now have the vote on Dr.
Moderate sedation.
Moderate sedation evaluation.
Chan,
Can I?
Cheng,
Chang, I.
Cheng, I, David,
David, I.
David, I, Felsenfeld,
Aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge,
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larin, I, Mackenzie,
Yes.
Mackenzie, I, Medina, I, Molina,
Molina, aye.
Molina, I,
Olagi, aye.
Olagi, I, Pacheco,
Aye.
Pacheco, I, Pakur, Pakur, I, you,
UI.
passes.
Thank you. The sixth applicant, Dr. Bijan Eshadzadeh. Eshadzadeh has an active permit and is applying to be an evaluator in the moderate sedation world. I will nominate him. Pacheco will say that. Thank you. Any board discussion? Seeing none. Any in-person comment? Seeing none. Any WebEx comment?
It would help if I unmuted first. We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
I do. The next individual is Dr. Sean Fox. Excuse me. Did I miss something?
Vote.
We got to vote. Vote. Thank you. Okay. Dr. Loren, let's vote on Dr. Eshadzadeh.
Okay, for moderate sedation permit, Chan,
Chan, I.
Chan, I, Cheng,
Chang, I.
Cheng, I, David,
David, I.
I, Felsenfeld,
Felsenfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I,
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larin, I, Mackenzie,
Mackenzie, yes.
the I, Medina,
Medina, aye.
Medina, I, Molina,
Molina, aye.
Medina, I, Olagi, Olagi, I, Pacheco,
Checo, aye.
I, Takur, Takur, I, you.
UI.
My motion passes.
Thank you. Next individual is Dr. Sean Fox. He is a general dentist who is applying to become a moderate sedation permit evaluator. I will nominate him. Olagi will say second. Thank you. And any board comments? Any in-person comments? Any WebEx comments?
We are once again open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
I do. Board Secretary, please take the vote on Dr. Fox.
For moderate sedation,
Correct.
Chan,
Chan, I.
Chan, Cheng,
Chang, I.
Cheng, I, David, David, I, Felsenfeld, Felsenfeld, I, Forge,
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Mackenzie, Mackenzie, I, Medina, I, Molina,
Aye.
I, Olagi,
Olagi, aye.
Olagi, Pacheco,
Checo, aye.
Pacheco, I, Pakur, I, you. My motion passes.
Thank you. The next individual is Dr. Renee Gotanian, who is a dentist and holds a moderate permit, would like to be an evaluator. I would like to get him to be an evaluator for moderate sedation. Dr. Gotanian.
Second.
Who's second?
Yep.
There we go. What? Ms. Medina? Rin. Oh, you snuck in there. Thank you. Sorry. Next, Medina. Thank you, Dr. Loren. And we have that for sedation. Any board comments? Any in-person comments and WebEx comments?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. We have no request for public comment.
Thank you. We'll continue on. Board Secretary for Dr. Gotanyan as a moderate sedation evaluator.
Chan.
Chan, aye.
Chan- Chang.
Chang, aye.
Chang, I, David.
David.
David, I, Felsenfeld.
Well, aye.
Felsenfeld, George.
George, aye.
George, I, Larry, I, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, yes.
Mackenzie, I, Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Medina, I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
I, Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I. Thakur, I, you.
You, aye.
I, motion passes.
Thank you. Next individual is Dr. Daniel Gwindy. He is a general dentist and has a moderate sedation permit. I'd like to become a moderate sedation permit evaluator, and I nominate him for that position. Second from Dr. Pacheco. Ms. Pacheco, who was it over here? I'm sorry, Medina. Ms. Medina, second. Any board comments? Seeing none. Any in-person comments? WebEx comments?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue?
Dr. Daniel Gwindy for sedation permit evaluator. Dr.
And-
Levin.
Chan.
Chan, aye.
Chan, I, Chang.
Chang.
Chang, I, David.
David, aye.
Felsenfeld.
Um,
Felsenfeld, I.
George, aye.
George, I, Larin, I, Mackenzie. Mackenzie, I, Medina. Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
Olage, I, Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I. Thakur, I.
You, aye.
You, I, motion passes.
Thank you. The
I have
next,
a question.
yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Rosenfeld. I know that he has checked, Genji has checked like the pros, oral pathology. What does it mean? He's all those specialties?
Who are you talking about, Dr. Gwindy?
Genji?
Can clarify that for you. This is Jessica Olin. Doctor, he thought that it meant that those were the offices that he would volunteer to go to evaluate. He
Oh.
didn't understand that, identify his own specialty.
Not exactly full thread is what you're thinking, huh? Okay, that's fine. And thank you for doing this. All right, well, I think Razan Hamza, is that where I'm at? Okay, he is a general dentist. He has a moderate sedation permit, would like moderate sedation evaluator. I nominate for that position. You, Ms. Halagi. Do we have any board comments? Do we have any in-person comments? Do we have any WebEx comments?
We are once again
Go ahead.
We are once again open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. We will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no request for public comment.
Thank you. Board Secretary, please call the roll and take the vote on Dr.
For moderate sedation, Chan.
Chan, aye.
Chan, I, Chang.
Chang,
Chang, I, David.
David, aye.
David, I, Felsenfeld.
Aye.
Felsenfeld, I, for.
George, aye.
George, I, Larin, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, yes.
Mackenzie, Medina. Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I, Olage.
Olagi,
I, Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I, Thakur, I, you.
You, aye.
You, I, motion passes.
Thank you. Next individual is Dr. Muhammad Hassan. He's a periodontist. He has an MS permit and would like to be a moderate sedation permit evaluator. I nominate him for that position. Oh, we got Medina. We'll get you next time for it. All right. Doc, we're going to have public comment in a second. Sit tight. All right. So board comments. Seeing none, in-person comments. Good afternoon.
I am Dr. Gao
Hutchison, General Dentist, presenting myself. I just have a question regarding all these new moderates and evaluators. Is there a standardization course, class for all these new individuals so that know that they're conducting this examination in a standardized way? Let me suggest, I'm not reading everything in there. Most of these are conscious sedation who are just switching to moderate sedation evaluators. They're not new, they're just because of the way we've set that up. Is it a question in a sense? Well, yes, this is a new license, a new permit, and so it has new standards compared to conscious sedation. Okay, well, I don't answer to that. We're not engaged, sir. We heard you. Okay, good. Thank you, Dr. Atchison. You're right.
If you would like to follow an email, we can clarify that for you.
All right. That was Dr. Who was that? Dr. Hassan? Hassan's done. We're WebEx. We're up to WebEx. Correct. Web comments, WebEx comments for Dr. Hassan.
We are open for public comment for Dr. Som. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no request for public comment.
Thank you. Board Secretary, please take the role of Dr. Hassan for moderate sedation permits as an evaluator.
Chan,
Chan, I.
Chen I Cheng,
Chang, I.
David,
David, I.
David I. Felsenfeld,
Bill, aye.
I Forge,
Forge, aye.
Forge I, Larin I, McKenzie,
Okay.
McKenzie I, Medina, Medina, Molina,
Molina, aye.
Molina I, Olage,
Aye.
Olage I, Pacheco, Pacheco I, Thakur, you,
UI.
motion passes.
Thank you. Next item is Dr. George Marasu, who is a periodontist and has a moderate sedation permit and would like to be a moderate sedation permit evaluator. I nominate him for the position. Ford, Mr. Ford? Thank you. Ford is going to be second on that. Is there any other board comment? Any in-person comment? WebEx comments?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment.
Do we hear it?
I see no request for public comment.
All right, thank you. Board Secretary, Dr. Marasu is a moderate sedation permit. Would you please take the roll?
Chan,
Chan.
Chen I Cheng,
Chang, I.
Cheng I,
David, I.
David I, Felsenfeld,
Belsville, aye.
I Forge,
Forge, aye.
I Larin I, McKenzie,
McKenzie, yes.
McKenzie I, Medina, Medina, Molina,
Molina, aye.
Molina I, Olage,
Olage, aye.
Olage I, Pacheco,
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco I, Thakur, Thakur I, you,
UI.
motion passes.
Thank you. The next individual is Dr. Tozer, who's a general dentist and a moderate sedation permit and would like to be a moderate sedation permit evaluator. I nominate that position. Seconds it. Thank you. Any board comments? In-person comments? WebEx comments?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. We have no request for public comment.
All right. Board Secretary Dr. Charles Tozer is a moderate sedation permit evaluator. Please take the roll.
Chan,
Chan.
Chen I Cheng,
Chang, I.
Cheng I,
David, I.
David I, Felsenfeld,
Belsville,
I Forge,
Forge, aye.
I Larin I, McKenzie, McKenzie I, Medina,
Medina, aye.
I Molina,
Molina, aye.
Molina I, Olage,
Olage, aye.
Olage I, Pacheco,
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco I, Thakur, I you,
UI.
I motion
Thank you. The next individual is Dr. Kiet. He is a general dentist who is holding a moderate sedation permit and would like to be a moderate sedation evaluator. I nominate him for that position.
Pacheco, second.
Mackenzie, thank you. Seconded. Any board comments?
Pacheco.
Didn't see-
Pacheco or McKenzie?
Second was Mackenzie. She's over there. She lost her voice as she was saying. I think. All right, so we seconded. And we're ready to go on board comments. Seeing none in-person comments, seeing none WebEx comments.
We are open for public comment on WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users, dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
I do, sir. Board Secretary for Dr. Kiet is a moderate sedation evaluator.
Chan,
Aye.
I, Cheng.
Chang, aye.
Cheng, I, David.
David, aye.
I, Felsenfeld.
Felsfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, yes.
I, Medina. Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I, Olage.
Aye.
Olage, I, Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I, Thakur. Thakur, I, you.
You aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're getting there. Next individual is Dr. Nyok Nung Tran, and he is a periodontist and would like to be a sedation permit evaluator. He holds that permit. I nominate him therefore that position.
Chang, second.
All right, Cheng, second. Thank you, way back. All right, any board comments? Seeing none, any in comments? WebEx comments?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users, dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no request for public comment.
Thank you. On Board Secretary, on Dr. Nyok Nung Tran, please, for a moderate sedation evaluator, please take the vote.
Chan.
Chan, aye.
Chan, I, Cheng.
Chang, aye.
Cheng, I, David.
David, aye.
David, I, Felsenfeld.
Felsfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larin, I, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, yes.
Mackenzie, I, Medina. Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
Olage, I, Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I, Thakur. Thakur, I, you.
You aye.
I, motion passes.
Thank you. The last one is Dr. Nelson Yen, who is a periodontist who has a moderate sedation permit and would like to be a moderate sedation evaluator. I nominate him for that position. Dina is seconding it. Any board comments? Any in-person comments? Any WebEx comments?
We are
Board
open for
Secretary- I'm sorry, go ahead.
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users, dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no request for public comment.
Thank you. On Dr. Yen, Dr. Larin, if you'll take the vote for his position.
Moderate sedation, right? Chan.
Chan, aye.
Chan, I, Cheng.
Chang, aye.
Cheng, I, David. David. David, I, Felsenfeld.
Felsfeld, aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge.
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larin, I, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, yes.
I, Medina. Medina, I, Molina.
Molina, aye.
Molina, I, Olage.
Olagi, aye.
Olage, I, Pacheco.
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I, Thakur. Thakur, I, you.
You aye.
I, motion passes.
Thank you. We've done a lot of work here efficiently in a short period of time. There are many conversions of prior conscious sedation and new moderate sedation holders who have been approved, but we're also including a number of new ones, and that's very important, a good thing for us. Thanks to all of those who volunteer, and congratulations to them all. In the words of my granddaughter, I'm exhausted. 15-minute break. We'll see you back at 1:50. Let's continue on.
to go get it from her?
Is that her standing up? Or what?
Yeah.
So I didn't have a.
That's true. Did you drive?
No, so I guess just.
And this is Ricky here. Dr. Ford is just here. All right, let's get back to work, guys. It's 1:50, 1:52 actually. And we're going to get back to work. The next item of business, I believe, is agenda item 13A, an update on dental licensure and permit statistics. Mr. How do you say, Edie? Edie, Ricky Edie is going to, nice to meet you, sir. You're new. I'm new. You're new. One of us is new. Anyway, he's going to present that for us.
For sure. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Dr. Felsenfeld. My name is Ricky Edie. I'm the licensing manager, and I'll be presenting agenda item 13A, which begins on page 165 of your meeting materials. The memo presents an overview of application statistics, law and ethics examination statistics, and licensing and permit statistics for the dental licensing and examination unit. And page 170 of your meeting materials includes information on the last occupational analysis done by the Office of Professional Examination Services and the target date for the next occupational analysis, which is 2025. Beginning on page 174 of the meeting materials, the table provides statistics on current and active dental licenses by county and on the population per dental license from fiscal year 21-22 through June 30, 2024. Yuba County has the highest population per dentist, and both Sierra and Alpine counties have the lowest population per dentists. There's no action requested, and this concludes the agenda item. Thank you.
It's informational. Is there any board member discussion on the statistics? Dr. Chan?
Mr. Edie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The portfolio exam is going through a life cycle. So is there an end date that we look at?
It is hopefully going to end January 1st, 2025, when our sunset bill is chaptered.
Wow. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Mr. Edie? And is there any in-person public comments on this report? Seeing none, are there any public comments from individuals who are participating via WebEx? DCA moderator, would you please facilitate the lines for public comment?
We are open for public comment on 13A. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
I do, and I think, Mr. Edie, thank you. I think
Thank you.
well done, and welcome to our world here.
Thank you.
How long have you been with us?
I've been with the board going on 3 years.
Okay, and this is a new position you're in?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, we are now.
Sorry if I may, Mr. Edie was recently promoted. He was a lead analyst, and he was recently promoted to manager of the licensing and examination unit. So
Kicking up the ladder. Good for you, man. That's good.
Thank you.
You deserve it. All right, item 14 is now an elective facial cosmetic surgery EFCS permit credentialing committee meeting on July 17th. The report and discussion and possible action on recommendations on this EFCS permit applications. Jody, good morning. Just met her today as well. And Paige, good morning.
If I may,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, before Ms. Ortiz begins, she is also relatively new to the board. She is the new Paige, even though Ms. Regali is sitting next to her. The division of licensing and examination chief, and Ms. Regali was promoted over to the administrative and regulatory compliance division. So Paige is still with us, but she is in a different capacity. So,
all right, Ms. Ortiz, we have some things to talk about. Take a shot at it.
Thank you, Dr. Felsenfeld and members of the board. My name is Jody Ortiz, and I am the Chief of Licensing and Examination Division, and I will be presenting agenda item number 14, which begins on page 177 of your meeting materials. I am reporting on the July 17th, 2024 meeting of the elective Facial Cosmetic Surgery Permit Credentialing Committee. However, first I would like to provide some background to our new members. I will provide a brief background on the elective facial cosmetic surgery permit and committee. The EFCS permit was initiated into statute in 2006 and became effective January 1st, 2007. Business and Profession Codes Section 1638.1 establishes this permit, and it's for oral and maxillofacial surgeons and allows them the ability to perform elective facial cosmetic surgery after meeting certain requirements that are established within statute. The committee that reviews these applications is comprised of 5 members who are appointed by the board. All physicians and surgeons are required to maintain active status on the staff at a general acute care hospital. The committee meets as needed on a quarterly basis to review and discuss applications. Upon complete review of the application, the committee shall make a recommendation to the board on whether to issue or not to issue a permit to the applicant. There are 2 categories. Category 1 procedure consists of cosmetic contouring of the osteocartilaginous facial structure, which includes but is not limited to rhinoplasty or autoplasty. Category 2 procedures consist of cosmetic soft tissue contouring or rejuvenation, which includes but is not limited to facelifts, lip augmentation, or blepharoplasty. Permit requirements. The general requirements of this permit are to submit proof of successful completion of oral and maxillofacial surgery residency program accredited by the Commission on Dental Accreditation of the American Dental Association. Certification or is a candidate for certification by the American Board Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Submit a letter from the program director of the residency program attesting to the education, training, and competence necessary of the applicant to perform the procedures applied for. Submit documentation of at least 10 operative reports from residency, training, or proctored procedures that are representative of those training or procedures the applicant intends to perform. Submit documentation of surgical privileges at a licensed general acute care hospital and/or licensed outpatient surgical facility in California. And finally, submit proof of active status as staff at a general acute care hospital. The committee met on July 17th, 2024 via teleconference to review and discuss 2 applicants. 4 of the 5 committee members were presented. Dr. Pujabi was not present. After discussion, the committee acted on each application by recommending one of the following options to the board to take action on. Move to recommend approval of the EFC permit for both Category 1 and Category 2 procedures. Move to recommend approval of the EFC permit for only Category 1 procedures or only Category 2 procedures. Move to recommend denial of the application or table the application pending submission of additional documentation. As noted in your meeting materials, starting on page 177 to 178, staff is requesting the following. If the board agrees with the committee's recommendation, the board is asked to consider and approve 2 separate motions as follow. Motion 1, approve to grant the EFCS permit application of Dr. Initial SM for unlimited Category 1 privileges only. And motion 2, move to grant the EFCS permit application of Dr. JZ for unlimited Category 1 and Category 2 privileges. Thank you.
Okay, let me just, for the sake of our new members, just give you a little background, just a tiny bit. This is intended for oral and maxillofacial surgeons only, and for oral and maxillofacial surgeons who have a dental degree but do not have a medical degree.
Right.
So I'm a DDS only, but I do maxillofacial surgery, but I am not cosmetically qualified or trained or have a permit for that. So if a single degree oral surgeon wants to do cosmetic surgery, either, I'll make it easier, hard or soft tissues, they apply and show that they have the training to do that, and they're granted the ability to do soft tissues or hard tissues or whatever they need to do. If you are a double degree and you're operating on and you have a medical license that's a license in the state, you can do what you want. So it doesn't have anything to do with that. So we have two individuals. I think both of them, if I recall, we're going to do them one at a time out of respect for them. This will be a little quicker than what we just did. We have two individuals who applied for both 1 and 2, but the committee felt that one of them should only have 1 because there was not sufficient evidence in 2.
That's
So
correct.
do you want to present the first one and we'll pick it up from there? And we have initials here, but we have names there. I don't know why that is, but it is what it is. So, but you could keep that straight. All right. So, motion 1. I will make the motion here. So do you want, is there any question on the board about what we're doing and who these people are and what we're looking at and why we're doing it this way? All right, we've done enough of that. All right, so I will make a motion then to grant the EFCS permit of SM DDS for unlimited Category 1 privileges. I'll get it eventually. Privileges only, okay? Category 1, because he did not qualify for 2 based on what the committee felt. Who is a second on that? Chan? Okay, we have a second on that. Is there any board member discussion on this particular applicant? Seeing none, do we have any in-person comment? Well, yeah, that's good. We have any in-person comments on this applicant? Seeing none, do we have any WebEx comments on this applicant?
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment on the applicant, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users, dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment.
Okay.
Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
I do. So Board Secretary, we're looking at applicant SM for Category 1 only, if I'm, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, for Category 1 only. So that's what we're voting on.
Chan? Chan, I, Chang? Chang,
Chang, I.
Chang, I, David?
David, I.
David, I, Felsenfeld?
Ellisville, aye.
Felsenfeld, I, Forge?
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larina, I, McKenzie?
Mackenzie, yes.
McKenzie, I, Medina? Medina, I, Molina?
Lena, I.
Molina, I, Olage?
Olagi, I.
Olage, I, Pacheco?
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I, Thakur? Thakur, I, you?
UI.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. The second individual is JZ, not the JZ, but
No.
JZ. All right, who has applied and has recommended that he be granted or she be granted categories 1 and 2, both
Yes,
soft
that's
and
correct.
hard tissue. I can make that motion. Is there a second? Mackenzie, thank you. So you raise your hand, your flask. All right. Is there any board comment? Seeing none, in-person public comment? Seeing none, and then WebEx comment, please.
We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users, dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no request for public comment.
Okay, then we are ready to vote. Board Secretary for JZ for unlimited privileges in both categories 1 and 2, hard and soft tissue.
Chan?
And I.
Chan, I, Chang?
Chang, I.
Chang, I, David?
David, I.
David, I, Felsenfeld?
Ellisville, aye.
I, Forge?
Forge, aye.
Forge, I, Larina, I, McKenzie?
Mackenzie, yes.
McKenzie, I, Medina? Medina, I, Molina?
Lena, I.
Molina, I, Olage?
Olagi, I.
Olage, I, Pacheco?
Pacheco, aye.
Pacheco, I, Thakur? Thakur, I, you?
UI.
You, I, motion passes.
Thank you. Ms. Ortiz, well done. Ms.
Thank you.
Rinaldi, how'd you do? She did well. All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to agenda item number 15. This is the Executive Officer Report, and Dr. Montez.
Thank you, Tracy Montez, Executive Officer. I feel like I've been talking way too much today.
It's been a busy day.
Again, I just want to recognize and appreciate the staff for working with us. This agenda was structured a little differently. As I mentioned earlier in the council meeting, the goal was to have a somewhat lighter meeting this quarter in gearing up for November. So with that said, we did restructure the agenda. We had a few things we needed to clear up with SB 1453. We also heard some good questions and requests for additional information, and as appropriate, staff, myself and staff will follow up. I think for those of you who have been following along, we always try to do our best to answer questions and get additional information as requested in future meetings. You know, we, again, don't always have the ability to respond to the public, but we do like to follow up as we can. So we'll be working on that for November. And that's, you know, consistent with agenda items. We do get requests for agenda items, and they're putting on a list that Ms. Tran keeps. And before each meeting, we do a debrief, and then we discuss what items, and we take it to the board president and most of the time, and schedule, organize how we want to present items. And it's just, again, important for the public and board members to recognize that there's a lot going on and things are shifting. And so while we may get a request for an item, it has to sort of fall along the items of priority. But we do have a running list, and Marilla is always reminding me what about. And so nothing falls off. It just may need to get reshuffled, you know, as we go through our meetings. But, you know, always appreciate feedback from the board members and the public. And so again, that's it for my executive officer report. We're going to have some good discussions, I think, on the budget report coming up, and I may chime in on that as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there any board member discussion of Dr. Montez's report? Any comments? Seeing none. Any in-person comments on Dr. Montez's report? Seeing none. Any WebEx comments on her report? WebEx, please, moderator, please open that for discussion.
Absolutely. We are open for public comment on Dr. Montez's report. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users, dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no request for public comment.
Thank you. We're going to move on then. Item 16, the budget report. Mr. Ramboa, come on and tell us all about how we're doing financially.
Good afternoon, board members. Wilbert Rambawa, Administrative Services Manager for the Dental Board. I'll be presenting the Dental Board's budget for fiscal year 23-24 and 24-25. As of fiscal month 11 for 23-24, the board has collected approximately $18.9 million in revenue, and we are projected to receive 19.6 by the end of the fiscal year when the books close. In terms of projections for expenditures, the board has currently expended $16.9 million in expenditures and is projected to expend 18.5 by the end of the fiscal year. The budget office is currently looking at the books, and we have, I believe, fiscal month 12. At the time that we created this, we only had fiscal month 11, but I will present the closing amounts at the next board meeting. Moving on, also, I forgot to mention the information that I'll be discussing can be found on pages 181 through 186. For fiscal year 24-25, for Budget Act of 2024, the board's allotted amount for the year is $20,627,000, and the projected revenue amount is $18,941,000. With that being said, the 2024 Budget Act puts the state, including the board, on a long-term plan of budgetary reductions in 24-25 and beyond. The Department of Finance has informed departments to begin planning and preparing to identify potential cost-saving measures. With that being said, there are two budget letters I'm going to be identifying. Budget letter 2420, also control section 4.12, is going to be discussing the cost savings for associated vacant position reductions. We're currently working with the DC Executive Office and Budget Office on that item. And the other item is Budget Letter 2410, Control Section 4.05. This is ongoing reduction to state operations. Again, the Department of Finance has asked the programs to reduce their budgets by 7.95%. That concludes my budget report. This item is informational only and no action is requested at this time. If anyone has any questions, I'm available.
Thank you, sir. I think Dr. Montez wants to add something to that.
Yes, I would. I'd like to just comment on these two drills. It was mentioned earlier, board member David talked about the funding and the vacancy drills. So right now, the department is just working on vacancies. We've been required to provide information about vacant positions. There is some guidance, and they are, again, the department on behalf of all of our boards and bureaus is working closely with finance as well as agency to remind them that we are special fund. However, I will tell you, in all of my time here at the department, general fund and special fund are unfortunately treated the same. But sometimes there are opportunities for exemptions, additional paperwork and steps that have to be taken. So we have not had to reduce our vacancies at this point. They're just looking at positions and number crunching and various things like that. So we are continuing to fill all of our vacancies as quickly as we can until somebody says don't. So I want to reassure you of that. And then as far as the ongoing reductions, we know generally what it is, but how it's going to come to us has yet to, I think, be reported. That is still in the process of negotiation, how it will hit our budget. So we are working on those two drills with the Department of Consumer Affairs. And again, we're very fortunate that we're all in the same boat and they advocate for us. So we have a big voice out there advocating for us because again, we are funded from licensee fees and we have public protection mandates. And so if we lose positions, we lose the ability to process applications timely, conduct inspections and investigations timely. So it has a ripple effect on consumer protection. And then Wilbert did allude to our structural imbalance. So one of the things we will be talking about in November, just to let everybody know, is fee increases because we need to address our structural imbalance. That's a long-term goal that needs to be corrected. So in the mix of budget reductions, we will likely be talking about fee increases and how to do this in a thoughtful manner that doesn't impact our licensees, but allows us to keep performing our operations. So that I'm adding to the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Montez. Is there any board discussion about the budget?
Just a
Mr.
quick,
David.
that was a good report. Just, I did note, I do note you do have a structural imbalance, but you are scheduled to be repaid $5 million next June. So,
Correct.
and obviously that needs to be built into your calculations. So good.
This board has been there before, and this board has been repaid before, so we expect that they'll be repaid again this time. We've loaned money to the governor.
It sometimes does get pushed forward. However, before we can do a fee increase, we have been advised that the loan has to be repaid.
Any other board comment on the budget and the upcoming things that are going to happen? All right. Is there any public comment from in-person people at the meeting? Seeing none, is there any WebEx comment on this? Please facilitate the comments from WebEx, moderator.
We are open for public comment on the budget report. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no request for public comment.
Thank you. This was informational, so we're good to move on. We're looking now at item 17, the 2025 meeting dates. Dr. Montez, that's going to be a quick presentation, I assume, because you're going to do a poll.
Yes.
Okay, there
Tracy
you have it.
Montez, Executive Officer, meeting dates. So in our goal to be efficient and pin down meeting date locations, I'd like to do this in August and not in November. So we have dates here. This is a non-action item. It's mainly to get input from all of you on dates. As we discussed last year at this time, the dates that were proposed are the dates similar to how we currently conduct our quarterly meetings. They seem to work well in terms of other boards who hold meetings. We again need to rely on our lovely partners at Communications for webcasting, WebExing, rooms, public access, those sorts of things. So we're not going to go into locations yet, but we do want to look at the dates here that are proposed. Where we do have a couple of choices and would like to get some input are the May dates. The May dates coincide again with CDA Presents. This year we did it a little differently in that we had the board meeting at the beginning and then CDA Presents. In the past, we've had the board meeting and CDA Presents at the same time. And so wanted to get some feedback from board members on your preference. Did you like meeting earlier and then having the conference, or do you like being there when the conference is going on? And certainly, we're going to keep our fingers crossed that what happened this year at the conference in the hotel doesn't happen next year, because I think that traumatized many of us. Even though I wasn't there, I was traumatized for our members. So there were some hotel issues, no air conditioning, no power, no nada. So anyway, I guess we'll just open it up to discussion. And if anybody has any concerns with dates, let us know as we, navigate that. But we do want to leave here with a sense of your preference for those May dates so we can start scheduling hearing rooms.
Yeah. Sonia Molina, I have a comment. Not overlapping was really good because then, we were able to participate in activities with CDA and still be present in our board meeting.
My suggestion is for the May 14 to 15, because usually we'll finish like the second day we'll finish maybe like in the afternoon, and then there will be the good timing for us to sign up and then do the courses necessary, instead to wait one extra night ahead of time. So last year we go for 13 to 14, okay. So but then I feel that is too much time has been wasted. Yeah. So I think the 14 to 15 is the best.
So like a half a day overlap?
Yeah, it's okay.
Is that,
Yeah.
what do you think, Dr. Molina?
Preferably not, but I'll have to get consensus.
My 2 cents is, I'm assuming that we would have more licensees come to our meeting if we did it during the.
That's what I thought. As my first year as an EO, I was very excited and thought, oh, we'll have just, a lot of people come. And unfortunately, they don't. It's our same loyal following that we have here are at the meeting. Yes.
But I think that is lack of communication, because people ask me questions like, can anyone go? And it's yes, it's public, it's for consumers. So they may not realize that they have that opportunity.
Well, and I'd like to, have a booth at the conference this year because of the questions that come up. And yeah, I know my staff's like, but yeah, we're going to be there. So
And the dental association could even, I've been to the medical board sometimes is met during a conference, and they've actually in the conference brochure have said there's a medical board meeting going on at the same time too. So anyway.
Yeah.
This is Dr. Forge, and I agree. I think if it's during the meeting, for me, it's a little bit more convenient. But the other thing is, I agree with Dr. Molina. I think if we advertise, or I don't know if advertise is the correct word, we let people know that we're meeting during that time during CDA, I think that more people would come if they knew. I think it's just a lack of not knowing.
Great idea. Great idea. Thank you. Ready?
It's still my anniversary on the 14th.
Just a sidebar, the.
Mike?
Oh. Just a sidebar, the leadership at CDA is aware that they not should, but are going to invite the public members of the board to their meeting also, so they can see what the marketplace looks like.
Nice. Dr. Lurian?
Yes, I just wanted to comment that I agree with Dr. Yu on moving that date one day, because I almost went home. It was just a separation there that it
Sure.
didn't need. And also, I also support Dr. Molina's comment that we should promote it more. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board on the meeting dates? And any in-person public comments on the meeting dates? And any WebEx, I'm sorry, was there, oh, you coming up? You got to move quicker than that. I'm always on a hurry. There you go, Ms. Okai.
Hello, Tuka Zokai from the California Dental Association. Responding to the piece about CDA kind of advertising the event, I think it depends what's on the agenda, sharing some of the highlights of the agenda item, which won't come until, before the meeting. So it just depends how much time we have there and what's important to discuss, and trying to also think about the timing of it. So it's always great to have members of the board able to attend CDA Presents. And some of our classes are offered twice during the weekend, but it's still a very packed schedule. We're going to have another great offering in Anaheim. So with that being said, I think it just depends what's on the agenda. If we want to invite members, CDA is always happy to share what's happening with the dental board with our dental members.
Thank you. Any other in-person public comments? Ms. Becker?
Sherry Becker, representing Sherry Becker. I really liked that it was separate this year because I also serve as a table clinic judge, and that's Friday mornings. And so being very selfish and self-centered, I wouldn't be able to be in two places at once, and it's hard to pick, but I do know what my priorities are, but still. But I could see too, if we advertise it, I think probably we would get more attendance. So thank you.
Anyone else from the public? I think not. How about public comments from those who are participating via WebEx?
We are open for public comment via WebEx on the meeting dates. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. I see no requests via WebEx.
Thank you. We'll move on. We are done with that. We're now going to move on to item number 18, if I'm not mistaken. And this is going to be for public comment on items that are not on, that you want on future agenda items, just things to talk about. Dr. Montez, did you want to take the lead on this, or did the title say it all?
I think the title said it all. So if board members have any topics that they would like to add to our list, our ongoing list of agenda items, you're welcome to share that now, and then the public as well. And if not, if you think of something later, you're always welcome to email either myself or the board with your ideas.
I have a
Yes, I see two things, Dr. Molina, then Mr. Ford.
Dr. Molina,
In the last board meeting, I requested, and if I read the minutes, it says that I requested the board to look into creating a pilot program with both De La Salle University and the Moldova School, so that they can look into getting accreditation with CODA. So I would like to ask the same, I would like to ask the same request. If they can, this item can be put on the agenda for the next meeting in November.
Can I ask a clarifying question? When you mean a pilot program, what do you mean by a pilot program?
Whether it's a pilot program or a continuation, whatever you want to call it, basically is allowing the schools that as of June no longer have students registering in September to continue their program so that they can pursue accreditation with CODA. Because if they don't have students, they cannot get accreditation. So it's sort of like a catch-22.
Mr. David?
Kind of similar to what Mr. Torres was talking to us about. Maybe more broadly, have a discussion or a presentation on strategies to increase access in underserved communities. Because this issue isn't going to go away, and I think we need to show some leadership and have a good conversation about it.
Okay. We good? Any other board discussion of future items? Any public thoughts on items that are for the future? WebEx, see if there's anybody out there listening still who would like to make some comments or something that we might be able to look at for the future.
We have at least 6. We are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping a hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. And we have a silent 6.
Silence. Thank you very much. All right, DCA moderator. We now have to move on. We are finished with the board's activities. We do have a closed session. And that's going to be taken up now. In the closed session, we'll have to ask all people who are visitors to say good night. Thank you. It's been good seeing you. And you're going
I
to
have
have
a
to.
question.
What's that?
I thought we got a message from.
No, we've got one.
Okay.
We have one. It's changed. It's changed. We're going to come back. We're going to come back into open session after the closed session. And there'll be a one-line discussion of what actually happened in there. If you wish to stay on and wait for us to finish, you don't have to go home.
And I would like to request a 15-minute break before you go into closed session, just so that
Another
we have
15
time
minutes.
to
That'll
get
be
our
fine. We'll
stuff
start the
together.
closed session at 2:45. 2:45.
All right, this is David, the moderator. I need Wilbert and Joni to pay attention for just a moment before you take your 15-minute break. You guys are going to be put in charge of the meeting while I excuse myself for the closed session. There's very little that can happen to go wrong as long as we avoid 2 things. First, do not end the meeting for everyone. And second, do not expel anyone for any reason, because that could be a open meetings violation. Beyond that, if there's any problem, I'll be available on Microsoft Teams and can come back and fix most any other problem that you guys have.
So basically, we don't have to do anything. I will automatically, when they go into closed session, I'll automatically be in closed session along with them, and there's nothing basically to do, correct?
Correct. And in fact, I'm going to start that now. So
So we are now back into open session. And we're going to say in closed session, the board adopted a petition for early termination of prohibition. And that's what happened. So before we adjourn, I've got to say thank you to the public members, none of whom are still here. Thank you to our staff who work very hard. Thank you to our board members for participation. And thank you, is it Bouli? How do you say your last name, sir? David, you did a wonderful job of keeping us on track with the WebEx. And with that,
Move adjournment.
we are adjourned. Thank you.